of Minagoroshi. When I woke up, the first things I saw were Stantoko and the calendar. The first one to wake up is supposed to tear yesterday's date off the calendar. Sometimes we both tear the calendar by mistake, so the date ends up 2 days ahead. Stantoko likes to tear the calendar, and that makes her wake up early every morning. Also, that would usually make me smile, but I felt devastated as soon as I saw the 22 on the calendar. It's going to happen today. June 22nd, the day I die. Good morning. Good morning, Mika. Morning, you two. You two? Are you still asleep? There's someone else living in this house other than you and I. I just said good morning to that person as well. Hey, do not try and spook me like that. Stantoko won't be able to sleep without holding your hand tonight, Mika. Sometimes I feel like Stantoko can see Hanyuu, and that it's as if the three of us are living together. That would be a lot of fun. It was time to go to school, but my body felt heavy. The day I was going to die. Knowing that, I didn't even feel like going to school. The more I've repeated the same life, the more precisely I can detect the date of my death. I always die on the day I feel this way. Mika, we ought to be going soon. I'm taking the day off today. Mika, I heard from Keiichi-san. Are you troubled by something? Kind of, but not really. What else is there left to do? Today is the day. It's too late now. But part of me still feels like doing something. I've been in this world only a few days. My emotions went up and down like a roller coaster. Sometimes I felt motivated to fight, and other times I felt desperate and gave up. Even though Keiichi and everyone else showed me such strength, I lacked the iron will to fight against my fate. The most confidence I ever felt was when the dice all came up 6. A fortunate coincidence that was just handed to me. I was hoping to gain the courage to fight against my fate. Here I am today, conceding to destiny. Keiichi told me that we can make a miracle happen if we work together. There was something he didn't teach me. He didn't teach me how to believe in that. So it's all his fault. It's all Keiichi's fault. I, Furude am never to blame for anything that goes wrong in my life. It is always someone else's fault. And that is how Furude gets by. If I don't believe in... Okay, well, I actually realized this, so fine, whatever. If I don't believe that I can make a miracle happen, I won't be able to make even a crack in the wall of fate. It seems so simple, yet it's so difficult. I couldn't even decide whether I should be on the stage or stay off it and remain as a spectator. I told Hanyuu that I haven't decided what to do after this world is over. But that's the spectator's point of view. For the people on the stage, this world is the only one. For them, the end of this world means the end of their lives. That's why they do anything to change their fate. That's why they can make a miracle happen. I never worked hard enough because I always knew that I could reset my life. I thought that I was just one pathetic girl who couldn't change her own fate. That's why I ended up here again today. As if I slacked off on my summer homework and woke up on the last day of vacation with nothing completed. What should I do? Should I not work on my assignment, knowing that I'm not going to make it on time anyway? Or should I do whatever I can, even though I may still get in big trouble? Perhaps a miracle will happen. Perhaps the homework will be done overnight. Miracles don't happen to homework. I have to do the homework on my own. Without effort, nothing will ever get done. Without effort, not even one question will be solved. I'm sorry if the screenshots keep bugging people, but like, it's really like, I've said it so many times, I'm not gonna keep saying it. Oh look, we match! Mika, I think you should spend your day doing what you want to. You can drink by the window all day, just the way you like doing. Jesus. You're suggesting that I shouldn't do anything since I know I'll get in trouble anyway? For hanyuu, it's not about the homework. It's more about the vacation itself. The vacation will be over, no matter how much I want it to continue. In her eyes, it's pathetic for me to make a big deal out of not completing my homework, and contemplating whether I should still work on it or not. On top of that, I'm saying that I might as well die if my vacation is going to be over. If I was in her situation, I'd be laughing hysterically. Eiichi told me to seek everyone's help in order to finish my homework, but I'm not taking that offer, not only because I don't want to cause them trouble, but also because I don't want the teacher to know that I got help from them. If I was going to have regrets, I should have worked on it from the beginning. I had no intention of working on it. If I had no intention of working on it, I should have just relaxed without stressing out so much. If I didn't care what other people thought, I should have asked for their help in the first place. Those are the 3 options I talked about with hanyuu yesterday. I didn't choose any of them. I've been living for over 100 years, but I still can't decide. My 100 years were wasted. Satoko, I'm not going to school today because I have a cold. Is that so? Do you want me to take your temperature? I need to rest today. Would you tell Chie that I'm not coming because I'm sick? Rika, are you really sick? Eiichi-san told me that you're worried that someone is trying to kill you. I'm very concerned, you realize. Thank you. You should go now. You'll be late. Satoko looked at the clock, then looked back at me again. I'm very happy right now. I'm happy that I'm back with everyone and that I'm living with you again. So, if I lose you, I'll be living in a very sad world. Just think about that. The world without me. Yes, the world without you would be a very sad world. I've never thought about that. I thought that the world ended where I died. I've never thought about the world after my death. That was never my concern. But please, take care of yourself. It isn't just me. If anything happens to you, everyone will be sad. Satoko. Rika, leave you alone for today, but please talk to me if you have something on your mind. Kind of upsetting how you won't talk to me. Satoko seemed like she wanted to say more, but she looked at the floor instead. I know what she's trying to say. I realize how selfishly I've been living. It was wrong for me to look at this world as a stage play, but it's too late. Too late now. Satoko left the house in a hurry. Hanyuu and I were left alone inside the house. I can tell you want to be alone. I'll disappear until you call for me. Thank you. You're still yourself even after 100 years. You're not 100-year-old transcendent. You deserve to think about your life as a young girl. I don't want to force you to think like a grown-up. Not your fault, hanyuu. I was just being arrogant. Call me if you want to talk. You're not crying anymore? You're not going to beg me not to give up on my life? You're a stubborn person. I know it's better to not be too persistent with you. After all these years, you know me very well. I know you're already aware, but let me say this. Today is the day. Do your best. No matter what you do or don't do, this world is going to end today. But if you wish for it, you'll see a brand new day, just like when morning comes. You might find yourself back in June of this year again, but it's still a brand new day. When I was younger, every day seemed so boring. Every morning, I thought the same things would happen again after I woke up. This just means that it'll end up being true. Let me just tell you to live this day productively. I'm not going to say anything else to you. I knew today was the day, but it's still difficult to hear that from you. It's going to come to an end again, huh? Yes, it's going to end again, just like always. Hanyuu disappeared and it went completely quiet inside the house. How should I spend my day? How should I end this day? Should I work on my homework, knowing that I'm not going to make it on time? I only have half a day left. I have to do my best. I should think about what I can do. This world is supposed to be a happy place. People are enjoying their lives. I should have enjoyed my life more. I don't mean it in that I should have enjoyed my life in blind optimism. It means that I should have enjoyed my life by fully experiencing both happiness and sadness. If I did that, I wouldn't be as worried about what to do after my death. I should have simply lived with all my might. When the time comes, it'll be over. Today, I will live. It's a very important phrase. It sounds meaningless when I say it because I can repeat this meaningless life as many times as I wish. While Satoko was at school, I washed the dishes. Hanyuu would usually stay with me when Satoko wasn't around. But she's not here right now. It's been a while since I was all by myself. I never thought that anyone could feel so lonely while washing the dishes. I'm going to die today anyway. This world is ending today. Why should I wash these dishes? Because I'm thinking about Satoko, who will have to move on with her life after tomorrow. I will encounter a new Satoko in the next world. But I realized something after hearing what Satoko told me earlier. After I'm dead, I wonder how Satoko will move on with her life. The worlds that I've left in the past all went on without me. I wonder if Satoko will be able to cook without me. I wonder if she can go shopping on her own. I wonder if she can wash her clothes by herself. I've been avoiding thinking about this, but Satoko and my other friends must have been overcome by sadness. It's too late for me to think about this, but I started feeling like I want to cry. I'm feeling like this I don't want to leave this world. This is the world that I've always wanted. It's my hope that I can continue to live in this world beyond June 1983. After a long journey, I finally ended up in this world. I was able to truly live in the ideal world for only one night, the night of Watanagashi. This world will be shattered again after I die tonight. We finally saved Satoko, and all our friends assume that our happy life is returned. However, I'm going to die. Tonight. They will mourn for me. We worked so hard to make a miracle happen, but they're going to lose their happy world in just one day. Am I going to start a new life in the next world as if nothing happened? I lived 3 days in my new world. The 3 sad days were going to pass in this world. It's no good. I can't think straight anymore. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing from my eyes. I hugged Satoko's pillow and cried. I could smell her scent. After I die, Satoko will probably hug my pillow and cry just like this. Is everyone else going to cry for me too? I'm sure they will. And they'll be sad, not about my death. They'll be sad not because I'm dead, but because I never told them about what was troubling me so much. I wonder if they're going to feel regret. Will they wonder what they could have done to open up my heart? What they could have done to help me in my time of trouble? Will they wonder what they could have done to save me? I felt miserable and frustrated. I held Satoko's pillow and continued to cry. And the next moment, I heard the phone ringing. I tried to ignore it, but it wouldn't stop ringing. I picked up the phone, hoping that my friends would call to check up on me. However, I heard a weird guy's voice coming from the receiver. Hello, this is Okonogi Gardeners. Is this the Furude residence? Okonogi? It was Okonogi from the Mountain Dogs. It was the first time I'd received a phone call from him. I'm calling because I have something urgent to ask you. I called the school, but they told me that you're sick today. You feeling alright? Not alright. This is the day I die. I knew he had no idea, but I still couldn't help but feel upset. Only a cold. I just want to rest today. Really? Well, that's a very fortunate coincidence. What? I had no idea what made him say that he was glad I was sick. Why is it a fortunate for you if I'm home? Well, we got a tip from Tokyo that someone is planning to murder you. What do you mean? Tokyo was investigating the murder of Tomitake-san and Takano-san. How convenient! Investigation concluded. There's a high possibility Dr. Irie is pulling the strings. Irie is behind everything? This is the first time I've heard something like this. This isn't something that happens at random. It's the very first time. That means it's not just a coincidence. I'm hearing this now because of something that I did differently in this world. I've done many things differently in this world, though. I can't tell which decision led me to this result. However, maybe this is something that could change my life drastically. Okonogi continued to explain to me. There had been budget cuts to their research, and they were scheduled to be shut down within a few years. UDA was strongly against that because he was embezzling their research money by requesting bigger and bigger budgets. Because they were going to cancel their research, he tried to sell the research data and made a lot of money off of it. Is that really true? I know it's hard to believe, but it is. I always thought that he was kind of suspicious myself. I think I can say with certainty that Irie is not that type of person. With certainty! I've been around him for years, and as far as I know, he's not a bad guy. He doesn't even have the guts to be one. He pretends to be cold-hearted for the sake of his research, but he can't shake his regrets. He's simply a nice person. It's hard to believe that he was embezzling money from Tokyo. I'm starting to be suspicious of Takano, but she's actually a nice person too. She seems mean at times, but she can also act as innocent as a child. However, I'm starting to suspect her because Oishi told me that the body they found in Gifu might not be Takano's body. Okonogi works for Takano. That means I can't trust Okonogi. In other words, I can trust Irie because Okonogi is clearly just trying to set him up. On the other hand, if Takano isn't guilty, I could be making a huge mistake. Yet it always seemed to me as though Tomitake and Irie were good friends. If Tokyo had suspected that Irie was embezzling money from them, Tomitake would have treated him far more coldly. Anyway, at the very least, Tomitake of Tokyo didn't have such a bad impression of Irie. The Irie of the Irie Institute and Tomitake of Tokyo were good friends. Tomitake of Tokyo and Takano of Tokyo were good friends. Takano of Tokyo and Okonogi of Tokyo were superior and subordinate. But Okonogi of Tokyo says that Tokyo is suspicious of Irie. This doesn't make sense. Everyone seems to be good friends at first glance, but the links don't connect from start to finish. Irie thinks he has a positive relationship with Tokyo, but Tokyo is suspicious of Irie? It's just odd. The chain should be connected, but one of the links is twisted out of order. It's breaking the loop. Tokyo is conducting further investigations at the moment. We also have information that Irie is trying to use you as a bargaining chip. For that reason, we've been told to tighten up your security starting today. That's why I'm glad that you're at home right now. There are 20 security guards patrolling the Furure Shrine in 3 shifts. You may not notice, but they're there for you. That's a lot of security. How long are you going to guard me like that? Until Tokyo feels you're no longer in danger. Until this whole case is resolved. That should have been good news for me, since today was the day I was supposed to die. This is exactly the kind of security I wanted. That's why I let Takano into the ritual storehouse. However, I have a bad feeling about this. Tokyo should be my ally. But that arrangement is just like Irie's relationship with Tokyo. Everything seems in order from my end. But when you trace it the other way, it feels like something's off at some point. I have this uncomfortable feeling because I have a few uncertainties about Tokyo. Tokyo and Irie have strong ties, but they're suspicious of him? Is Irie actually a bad guy? Is Takano still alive, and is she the one who killed Tomitake? These questions and more made me feel uncertain about accepting help from Tokyo. I thought about Tokyo as a single organization would move with a single intention, but in reality, they have multiple different intentions. In other words, there must be multiple... what's the word? I see it in the political section of newspapers all the time. Right, factions. Are there 2 factions in Tokyo? One that wants to remain friendly with Irie, and one that looks down on him? That would explain the irregularities I'm sensing. Maybe I've been talking to Oishi too much. If he hadn't told me that he was suspicious of Takano, would I have believed Okonogi without a doubt? Well, maybe not. Even without Oishi's theory, Okonogi still sounded very suspicious. Irie was loyal to his research on Hinamizawa syndrome. Tokyo understood this, so his relationship with Tomitake wasn't particularly strained. Plus, Irie isn't the type of person who would commit embezzlement. He's a law-abiding citizen with a good moral character. Of course he has some ambition as a researcher, but that only goes as far as common sense expects any researcher to. It's nothing like the criminal aspirations that would lead to major embezzlement. A great number of the mountain dogs were going to be guarding me. This is what I'd been wanting in my previous lives, but for some reason I couldn't be happy about it. I couldn't help but feel depressed. If this house is like an empty birdcage, then they'd be the fox with feathers stuck to its face. I don't know if I can really trust the people who are protecting me. I tried to recall more about Okonogi. The mountain dogs have been protecting me for years. Tokunogi proved his skills in many of my other lives. To them, I'm something of a special existence. If something happens to me, it would be a disaster. The EDA Institute is there to keep Hinamizawa syndrome under control, and the mountain dogs are there to protect me from evildoers. So why would they try to betray me now? I thought about it for a while, but I had no idea. I just know one thing for sure. I can't feel comfortable with the protection of the mountain dogs alone. Not someone other than Tokyo protecting me. But I bet such a person wouldn't believe me. Wait, what about Oishi? I've been keeping in touch with Oishi since the other day. He still thinks that the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa are all plotted by the village authorities. If he believes that, then he might believe my life is in danger. For him, I'm a special person with lots of useful information. The mountain dogs hate the police, though. When I asked them to assassinate Satoko's uncle, they refused because he was being watched by the police. I would feel relieved if the police were guarding me along with the mountain dogs. That way, the dogs wouldn't be able to harm me, even if they were working for an evil faction of Tokyo. Besides that, if my suspicions toward them turned out to be baseless, more protection couldn't hurt. I'm sure that double security will keep me safe. I understand. I'll stay home for today. Yes, please do, and please don't go out into the city and try to pick a fight with delinquents. Me. Sorry about that. Anyway, please take care of yourself. I have a cold, so may I at least go to the clinic? You never know what might happen, so please don't go near there for a while. I don't want them to inject you with anything suspicious. Idiot would never do anything like that. That's what we want to believe, but you need to be careful of him until things are cleared up. So I have no choice, huh? No? You've totally picked up the local dialect, Tokunogi. You used to have a Tokyo accent before. I like to think I can fix it if asked, though. But it's my job to blend in with the local culture. I finished speaking with him. As soon as I hung up the phone, I opened my phone book and looked for the number to the Okinomiya Police Department. It was nearly noon. It felt like the pages of the phone book were sticking to my skin. I must have been in a hurry. I really don't want to die. I want to stay in this world. I don't want to leave this perfect world. I'm trying to do something because I don't want to die. I'm trying to live with all my might. I'm trying to enjoy my life. For the first time, I was spending my last day positively without drinking wine until I was drunk. Oh, oishi desu. Sorry for the wait. I was getting ready to leave for Gifu Prefecture. I was going to browbeat them until they opened up about botching the case. Gifu, you're talking about Takano's body? Yeah. My colleagues are convinced that the body is Takano, but I'm still not satisfied. That's why I'm going there myself. If that body isn't Takano, this is going to be a whole different story. You can put out a search for her as a material witness, see? Fortunately, I have lots of connections in the Gifu Police Department. I'll have a nice, long talk with him. It looked like Oishi was proactively moving forward with the investigation. If that body really is Takano, that would be sad for her, but it would give me reason to trust the mountain dogs. If that's not Takano, then it would tell me that she's part of this whole incident. No matter what the result is, it will give me some kind of hint. But only if I'm still alive. Really, it's unfortunate. Oishi is leaving for Gifu. He can't be around to protect me. Oishi. Some stranger called me today. I don't know who it was, but he said he's one of the villagers. He didn't tell you who he was? I see. Please, go on. What did he tell you? He told me that someone is going to kill me. He said they'd kill me tonight at the earliest. Is that true? I see. That's not outside the realm of possibility. I see. I have to leave soon, but I'll send some officers over there. I'll tell them to keep you safe. You're home right now, right? Do you have a cold or something? Just stay home and lock your doors and windows. I'll send someone over immediately. What's wrong, Oishi-san? You'll be late for your appointment. I just got a call from Furuderika. Someone called to warn her that she was going to be murdered. Someone is trying to kill Furuderika, but why? I thought she was like the village mascot. It might be a warning for contacting me about the incidents in the village. I don't know if they're really trying to kill her, but she's just a young girl. I'm sure she's very frightened right about now. Plus, if we lose her trust now, that might hurt our relationship in the future. 2 or 3 officers are enough, but please send them over at once. Also, get a hold of her local officer and have them reassure her some. Yes, sir! Furuderika might have some kind of hint regarding the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Oishi couldn't let her die. We should head back to Hinamizawa as soon as we get the Gifu Police Department to spill the beans. This is going to be a pretty tight schedule for our business trip. This'll be a piece of cake. Meanwhile, This is Skylark. Local police officer is on the shrine property. He's heading toward R's house. Roger. Continue observation. Encountering R. Should let the officer inside. R called the Okinomiya Police Department. She requested protection on her own. Did she tell them about us? She told them that she got an anonymous call. I'm sure that's made up. The Okinomiya Police Department is sending a few more officers to her location. What? Doesn't she trust the mountain dogs? This is trouble. It's going to prove more difficult to continue the mission. Is it possible that she somehow found out? Well, we're probably safe. Just tell the team to be aware of the officers. We don't want them to become suspicious of us. Roger. HQ to all units. There are police officers around the Furude Shrine. Please be mindful of them. We may have to postpone tonight's mission. I'll call her, but I'm sure the Major will order a go anyway. Everything's already set up for R to be discovered dead tomorrow morning so we can move to the next stage. But we don't want the police to suspect us. If they start suspecting you, just leave quietly. Oishi had called the officers pretty quickly. The officer who was in the area arrived within 10 minutes after I spoke with him. He asked me what kind of phone call I received today. I decided to make up a whole story. It'll all be over if they check my call history, but I'm sure Oishi won't bother doing anything like that. He thinks I'm worth protecting because I have information about the incidents in Hinamizawa. The policeman is one of the villagers, so I know him very well. More officers are coming here from the Okinomiya department. The officer told me to relax because he'd stay with me until then. Oishi must have thought I was frightened half to death after getting a threatening phone call. After about 30 minutes, 4 officers in plainclothes arrived at the shrine. The local officer returned to his police box. We've heard the whole story. We'll guard the shrine, so please call us if something happens. Detective Oishi will be here this evening. I was relieved to learn that Oishi would be coming here. Thank you very much. At least one person will be downstairs. I'm sorry, but is it okay if we use your restroom? Also, will you give us one of your spare keys just in case? Sure, you can use the restroom too. My house is on the 2nd floor of a storage building. The 1st floor contains some emergency supplies for the villagers. I'm happy to know that at least one police officer will be there for me. The officers confirmed their positions on the map of the shrine. 1 will be in the storage building, and 2 more will walk around the shrine property. Also, 1 more officer will be standing in front of the stairs that lead to the shrine. This world's Oishi is certainly reliable. In my other lives, Oishi tended to look at me as his enemy. However, in this world, he thinks I'm on his side. For sure, it's because we all became friendly with him around the time we saved Stantoko. It was unfortunate at the time, but perhaps the return of Santoko's uncle was a necessary event. If Okonogi was right about Irie, he wouldn't be able to come near me with 20 mountain dogs and 4 police officers protecting me. If Okonogi is the bad guy, they'd be discouraged from acting by the presence of the police. Not too different from giving garlic to a vampire. This is the best protection I've had in 100 years. Even so, am I still going to be killed tonight? I need to do whatever I can. I should struggle as hard as possible. I won't give up. I won't even think about my next life. This is what enjoying life is all about. This is what living seriously is all about. Hanyuu, are you there? I'm here. What do you think about all this? I have to admit, I've never seen anything like this before. Is it still wrong for me to expect something different this time? I'm not going to hope for anything. I'll just have to accept whatever the result is. Hanyuu was still acting like a bystander. I knew she was going to say something like that. But part of me was hoping she would say something more positive. But hearing her say what she did, I felt a little disappointed. I wondered why Hanyuu refused to be anything but a onlooker. I always thought it was normal for her to be that way because she's a special existence. I also convinced myself I had to be an onlooker too, since I was a similar being. However, I can't just let go of everything and become a bystander. I can't become like her. I can't stop hoping for a better life for Furude. That hope was betrayed so many times, and my heart was crushed countless more. That's why I stopped expecting anything to turn out the way I wanted. So is Hanyuu the same way? Are you also afraid of being hurt? I only lived for 100 years, but I know how frightening it is to have high expectations. Hanyuu should also be aware of that, since she's lived for far longer than me. I always thought that Hanyuu was a special existence. But except for the fact that she's invisible, everything about us is the same. She has the same thoughts and feelings as everyone else, yet I still saw her as a special existence. That's why I just assumed that her mind worked in a different way. I've been living for longer than you. I know that there are more sad things than happiness in this world, and that your hopes will always be betrayed. That's why I don't want to be hurt anymore. So you're not expecting anything from this world either? I still have hope that this world might be different. But you think that I'll just be killed again? Oh, it's not what I'm thinking. And you looked uncomfortable. She had no doubts that I'd be killed again that night. What it means to not have hope. She just can't own up to it because she doesn't want to hurt my feelings. You're the same as Satoko. You're waiting for some stroke of luck or some miracle to come and help you. You're afraid of fighting. You think that being patient is the same as being strong. That's how I was until just a little while ago. Hanyuu looked down and bit her lip. She couldn't deny what I said. I know that you've heard it over and over. Miracles will not happen unless everyone works together. That means you have to believe too. A miracle will never happen unless everyone believes in it. What I just said sounded as though I was blaming her for the miracle not happening. Maybe I was too harsh to her. I stayed quiet. Hanyuu continued to look at the floor, shaking. Then she looked up at me and spoke. I noticed sadness, but also a little bit of anger in her eyes. I can't even touch people or talk to them. You think I'm just like everyone else, even though all I can do is watch? You understand how it feels not to be involved in anything? There was a slight severity in the tail end of Hanyuu's speech. Except for me, she can't communicate with anyone in this world. She hates to be reminded of that. I'm sorry. Let's stop this. I don't want to have a fight with you. I don't want to spend the rest of the time of alive in an argument. I don't want to argue with you either. Let me just say one thing. You're my friend. I don't want my friend not to expect too much out of my life. I'll apologize for that. But you should try respecting my opinions too. She can be very stubborn sometimes. Hanyuu seems weak on the outside, but she actually has a very strong moral code, one that she wouldn't bend for anything. She apologized to me, but wasn't being honest. She still wasn't expecting anything good to come from this world. She still thinks that I'm going to die pitifully. That's why she refuses to believe in miracles. I've been living with her long enough to read her mind. I feel bad for her in a sense. She's been living too long and lost all of her hope. Hanyuu told me to call her if anything else happened and soon disappeared. I'm sure she's still around, but she's probably still watching me as if she's watching a TV show. The time of my death is slowly approaching. Will I be able to survive this time? It's been a long time since I faced this fear without drinking wine. I was left with nothing else to do after washing the dishes and cleaning the room. Mountain dogs and police were protecting me. Just in case, I figured I should leave something behind for Satoko. Should I write down some recipes for her in the notebook? Will she be happy if I leave a will for her? I laughed at my own foolishness. No one would be happy to read a will. If I die, they'll be devastated and wonder why I didn't talk to them. That's exactly how I felt when Satoko didn't ask for any help when her uncle was abusing her. I wonder, will I be killed before... Jesus! Whoa! What was that? What was that? Ala Nikos, thank you for the follow. Oh my goodness. Scared the hell out of me, but thank you for the follow. Whew! I gotta stop being scared by that. I wonder, will I be killed before Satoko even comes home? No, it's okay, it's okay. I appreciate it, thank you. I hope you're having a good night. Or, depending on your time zone, yeah, evening, day, whatever. It's cool, it's perfectly fine. No worries. My memories of these days are never very clear. The day I die is always vague in my recollections. It's fine if I'm murdered before Satoko gets home. If I'm murdered after, then would they kill her along with me? I don't want that to happen. Bad enough already that I end up killed. If Satoko's murdered along with me each time, that would be too much to bear. Just how much if I ignored other people's sadness with that rash idea that the world ends when I die? Thinking about that made me feel truly ashamed of myself. I turned on the TV to try and reduce the silence, but it didn't help at all. Worse, not only did the TV not help with my fears, it felt like it symbolized Hanyuu and my allies, making me feel even more unpleasant. It's past lunchtime, nearly 3 p.m. School should be out soon. I'm not there today, so they probably won't do a club activity. Satoko should be home shortly. Seems I'm going to survive until she gets home after all. She comes home and asks me what's troubling me. I might end up telling her the truth. If I talk to someone, that person will be demoned away by the mountain dogs. That's why I've never spoken to anyone about it. I didn't want my friends to get into danger. But Satoko was also murdered likewise in every world because she was involved with me. Then we're doomed to share the same fate. Better to know the truth than to be killed without knowing what's going on. But I'm under very strict security right now. I might be able to survive in this world. If that's the case, I shouldn't talk to Satoko about it. It won't be so easy to talk to my friends after all. Moments later, I heard a surprised yell of Satoko's coming from downstairs. She'd returned. It sounded like she was scared to see a stranger in our home. I'd have to tell her that the police were here. That would be tantamount to telling her that someone is out to kill me. I don't know how to explain it to her or how much I should tell her. However, my thoughts were soon interrupted by the noise of a crowd. Satoko hadn't come home alone. I'm home, Erika. What's up with that officer downstairs? Why is that guy guarding your house? What the heck did you do? Hey-chan, that's not the right question. What happened to Yurika-chan? There were some strangers on the shrine grounds too. Are they also police officers? This isn't normal, you know? You don't know what's troubling you, but we're all here to cheer you up. It looks like something bad is going on. I couldn't stop laughing upon seeing everyone rush into my house, all asking the same questions. It made me feel as though being depressed all day had just been a waste of time. Mika, what on earth is so funny? You need to explain to us what is going on. There's nothing to explain. I'm getting murdered today. What? Everyone already knew that I'd been telling people about how I was going to be killed. They were surprised to hear it from my own mouth. Hey, Rika-chan, I heard that from you yesterday. You told me that you think someone is trying to kill you. I thought that was one of your jokes then. Man, Rika, what are you doing to give people such a shitty impression of you that... You gotta wonder if this is partially your own fault. If you think, if people just think, oh, well, maybe it wasn't jokes, but, well, anyway. Now though, you're not fooling me anymore. You have to talk to your friends. You're Nakama. Eiichi spoke with a harsh tone as though I'd made him upset. As though? I think he is upset. As my friend, he must think that it's unforgivable that I didn't talk to him about it. He wasn't the only one feeling that way, though. Every single one of them was looking at me with worried expressions on their faces. Mika, everybody here saved me. I want to do something for my friends as well. I'm glad to hear that. Remember what you told me. You told me to have the courage to fight. But just look at you. You're not even fighting yourself. Satoko pointed out something that I've already realized. I had no way to argue back. You told me that you'll put us in danger by talking to us. But all of us are already involved, no matter if you talk to us or not. That's right. We're your friends. If you're in danger, all of us are in danger too. When Satoko was in danger, we all fought for her, remember? It's the same thing. If your life is in danger, then I think it's time for the Sonozaki family to step in. You're way more reliable than the police. Isn't that right, sis? That's right! You have to talk to us! What kind of trouble are you in? Who the hell is threatening to kill you? Based on how you're acting, I assume you don't even know who it is. If you did know, it wouldn't be as big of a problem. Me. You're all so smart. You know everything, even though I haven't talked to you yet. This is not a time for jokes, Rika! You must talk to us. What has happened? What is this all about? You don't call the police unless you're really in danger, no? How dare you talk to the police before talking to us? Is the cause something you're uncomfortable talking to us about? Rika would never have any issue that would be uncomfortable to talk about. I'm down, Satoko. Rika-chan is the leader of the Furude family. She's worshipped as the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama in this village. She might have been in trouble for a long time, even though we didn't know about it. Maybe she just didn't want to talk to us about such trouble because we're all trying to have a fun life here in this village. It's probably what it was, right? So it has something to do with Rika-chama and the village. It must involve those crazy old people who worship Oyashiro-sama. So it must have something to do with the curse of Oyashiro-sama, I know. I bet it's related to what happened to Tomitake-san and Takano-san. Why would Tomitake's murder cause Rika-chan's life to be in danger? That's too big a leap! It's crazy just to think that someone is trying to kill her anyway. Rika-chan is bound by more obligations than we know, and she probably couldn't talk about them. I'm right, aren't I? Not a very fun topic, which is why you couldn't tell your friends, right? I cannot believe this. Is it really true, Rika? Is it really true that you're involved in Tomitake-san's murder case? I remained silent, but with my mouth open. I hadn't answered any of their questions, but they continued to ask, and had eventually hit the nail on the head. It was more surprising than anything. But then again, these are, after all, my beloved clubmates. I laughed once more. My issues and my secrets are so devastating to me that they stopped sounding like such a big deal when everyone talked about them together. They knew exactly what was going on without me saying a word. In that moment, I realized just how powerless I am. I had to tip my hat to them. Everything seems so foolish now. And so I decided to just tell them everything. If you want me to talk, I will, but I'm sure you won't believe me. We will. As long as you tell us the truth, we'll never doubt it. Everyone's expressions turned grave as they vowed not to make light of anything I told them. And so I'm going to tell them everything. I want to see if they really will believe me or not. Now, when you say everything, what are we talking here? In that case, I'll tell you. I think I'm being targeted by the same person who killed Tomitake and Takano. Okay, you're not. And are they the true culprit behind the series of mysterious deaths? I don't know about that, but it is possible. I don't understand. Why would Tomitake-san and Takano-san's murderer also want to kill Rika? Oishi thinks Takano is the culprit. Okunogi thinks that Irie is the culprit. Either way, it sounds like someone from Tokyo is trying to kill me. I can't tell if it's Takano or Irie, but I do know that to them, I'm like a trump card. In order to explain everything, I'd need to talk to them about the relationship between Hinamizawa, Tokyo, and the Irie clinic. I don't think they'll believe me. It's such a ridiculous story. Who would ever believe it if not my friends? You'll all be in danger if I talk to you about this. Are you sure you still want to hear it? Of course! You're in danger, we're in danger. Everyone nodded at Keiichi's words. Yes, I agree with Keiichi. Well then, I'm going to see how everyone reacts. I'm going to ascertain what friendship is all about. With a nod of my own, I opened my mouth and began to explain. There's a disease unique to Hinamizawa. I'm not sure what it's officially called, but I've always known it as Hinamizawa syndrome. Everyone glanced back and forth at each other when I mentioned the term. They'd never heard of it before. The name Hinamizawa syndrome has actually been around since before the war. The general term for the severe homesickness and mental instability that people from Hinamizawa experience when outside the village. People in Hinamizawa have refused to leave the village since the era of Onigafuchi. The villagers believed that they'd be cursed by Oyashiro-sama if they left, and people who did often came back because of that curse. In general, it used to be thought of as only severe homesickness. But during the war, soldiers from Hinamizawa became mentally deranged in faraway places. That does sometimes happen in war. What was unique about the soldiers from Hinamizawa was the way they killed their own comrades and committed suicide at the end. One doctor became curious about those cases and studied those soldiers. That's when they found out that it was actually a disease only found in Hinamizawa. According to this doctor, their strange behavior was not a result of their culture. It was a mental disease triggered by external circumstances. A mental disease with an external cause is different from a psychological illness. It's the result of some kind of physical disorder, and it causes people to become mentally unstable when something triggers it. There are 3 categories of externally caused mental diseases: traumatically induced, substance abuse induced, and chemical imbalance induced. Traumatically induced disorders are cases resulting from damage to the brain from trauma or infection that influence the mind. This is the reason personalities can change as a result of head injuries. Substance abuse, as the name suggests, refers to cases where drugs, especially alcohol or stimulants, have influenced the human mind. The last category is chemical imbalances. These are cases where some ailment in the patient's body causes abnormal secretions of bodily chemicals, which then influence the brain's functions. This may sound odd, but it's been said that people tend to become depressed when they have a cold. We've all experienced the way in which physical sickness can cause a buildup of negative emotions. However, with chemical imbalances, the cause is more direct. People's emotions aren't born from our hearts. Everyone should know, logically, that they're the result of chemicals secreted by the organs in our body as necessary. So when the organs operating the secretion of those emotional controllers malfunction, it causes them to secrete abnormal amounts. The thyroid gland, for example, secretes hormones that regulate emotion. When that gland is defective, the balance of those hormones becomes unstable. This can cause people to have not only a physical sickness, but also a mental sickness, such as depression. People don't get mentally ill just because of mental problems. Human beings are made out of meat. We get mentally ill when that meat is defective. The doctor studying Hinamizawa syndrome also came up with a theory. He suggested that there is a pathogen endemic to Hinamizawa that, if its host stray too far from home, affects the chemicals in their brain and causes them to hallucinate. The villagers' belief in Hoyashiro-sama is certainly related to this endemic disease. People in Onigafuchi knew about this syndrome. They knew that they couldn't survive outside the village. They also didn't want anyone else to enter the village because they would get infected too. They took this disease as a curse, not a sickness. The most significant symptoms of this disease are antisocial behavior and an extreme persecution? I think it means persecution complex. The eventual suicide caused by defects in the lymph nodes are also another unique characteristic. The unusual behavior of terminal patients is what inspired the legend of the demons coming out of the swamp and attacking the villagers. Basically, sick villagers developed severe persecution complex and wound up killing other villagers. After a long time, survivors of the disease started to comprehend its rules. They discovered that the disease is incurable once you contract it. That's why they started barring outsiders from entering the village. Also, once you become ill, you will begin developing a persecution complex. This can happen to anyone in the village. The doctrine of Oyashiro-sama says that the blood of humans and demons was mixed together, and that Oyashiro-sama has control over the violent blood of the demons. People said that you'd be cursed if you didn't follow Oyashiro-sama's rules. That could also be understood to mean that as long as you followed Oyashiro-sama's rules, you could cope with this endemic disease. This is what was meant by the scripture in Oyashiro-sama's legend that said that they appeared, unified the humans and demons, and made them live together in the village. Then there was the most important part, the rules to prevent symptoms from appearing. Those rules are the taboos, and people were strictly taught that Oyashiro-sama would curse them if they broke these rules. The horrible, bloody traditions of the village were probably performed in order to force people to respect these taboos. There are several ways to keep the disease under control, but there are 2 main conditions for doing so. The first one is to prevent suspicion. When the villagers are suspicious of someone, it can trigger their persecution complex, which can lead to them developing terminal symptoms. That's why they made sure to have such a tightly knit community so that people wouldn't suspect each other. And that didn't work out too well for Sadako now, did it? The terror of Oyashiro-sama's curse is emphasized. Many don't know this, but he's also a god of marriage and neighborly love. However, this condition is not as important as the other one. Indeed, Oyashiro-sama isn't even recognized as a god of friendship in Hinamizawa anymore, and is only worshipped as such in Okinomiya's Hirosaka district. Today I learned! Now, for the other condition. This one is much clearer and was practiced more strictly. If villagers leave Hinamizawa, they will fall ill quickly, proportional to the distance from the village. Villagers nowadays will not get sick as rapidly, even if they leave town or even go out of the country for a long time. However, long ago, they would fall ill as soon as they left the village. It's very unfortunate that Keiichi got infected so soon after he moved to the village. It is also very unfortunate that he got sick just because he left the village for a few days to go to his relative's funeral in that one world. That's why Hanyuu felt so bad for him that one time and kept upon apologizing over and over and over. Although, no matter how much she apologized, he never heard her voice. Except we know that she did, because that's literally the very beginning of the very first volume. He's on the train or whatever, and he's like, gosh, who's apologizing? Whoever it is should forgive them already. It's turned into a long discussion, but these rules etched around Oyashiro-sama's curse represent the ancient wisdom of how to cope with the Hinamizawa syndrome. Is there any way to use this mental disease for military purposes? The aforementioned doctor insisted there was, but the military didn't listen to him at all at the time. They were interested in developing a weapon that could make a dramatic change to the war efforts. They didn't have any money to spare for the research of this strange disease. In this way, research on Hinamizawa syndrome was abandoned. Then the war ended. Japan started its reconstruction under American leadership. However, some powerful people in the political world didn't want to accept the American way of thinking. Some of them were fired by the GHQ, but they still stayed on as advisors to the government, since Japan has a culture of respecting the elderly. Eventually, a political organization was formed, the object of which was to restore Japan to the way it was before the war. In the beginning, this organization was a very small group. It was just a gathering of 2 or 3 individuals who shared the same ideals, blowing hot air at a restaurant. Those 2 or 3 hit it off with each other and grew to the size of a class reunion. That group became a rather sizable organization, eventually becoming a political one. Well, it would be more accurate to call them a secret society. This secret society eventually came to be called by the name of the place where it was based, Tokyo. There are many mysteries about Tokyo. One thing I knew for sure is that it was composed of old men from Japan's political stage, ones with strong power to indirectly influence the government and vast assets that meant they could work from the shadows. They were also connected to various corporations, and their goal was to return to Japan to the way it was before the war. Of course, that was a pretty ridiculous goal. It was nothing more than an idea in their minds immediately after the war, back when they were still bowing their heads to the occupation forces of those white barbarians. Once Japan's post-war reconstruction began, Tokyo... Oh, hi, Moki. Tokyo steadily became a shell of its former self. I am a cute moi Miko, yes. You could call it that, it is similar. This is the one time I will accept that. So, yes. You're goddamn right, I am fucking adorable. But yes. Once Japan's post-war reconstruction began, Tokyo steadily became a shell of its former self. But it didn't totally become a shell. It culled the fat. Japan regained its peace. And years passed. However, some people still continued to believe that Japan had been better before the war, and they were determined to return the country to those times. So this Tokyo plotted how to restore pre-war Japan from many angles. They approached the problem economically, internationally, and militarily as well. Japan has no nuclear armaments due to the 3 non-nuclear principles. In other words, this country has to brown nose America as long as they hold nuclear weapons. This took a turn. I'm just imagining, like, can you just picture this scene? You know, Keiichi, you know, Shion, Mion, and Rena have all been. Oh no, I don't get me wrong. I get that. It's just the scene as it is. Like, the scene right now is Rika didn't come to school because she supposedly had a cold. Satoko brings everyone there. There's a cop in there downstairs. She brings them upstairs. And this is the story. And now Rika's going into this. It's like Keiichi is like, I mean, I am very lucky. I'm looking forward to seeing what the hell their reaction is going to be to this, because, like, I mean, yeah, like, you know, Keiichi, if I could draw, I would just like draw like a 4-panel comic of Rika getting into this and them, everyone just like backing out of the room slowly and closing the door. Like, I mean, this is a very, like, don't get me wrong, like, it's. Like, I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I am absolutely not saying it's bad or anything. It's just from their perspective, it must be such a drastic departure from what anything they were expecting. You know? But yeah. The number one priority of yes. In other words, this country has to brown out. I read that one. The number one priority of Tokyo is to be independent from America. They want this country to be on equal footing with America. I'm suddenly remembering a certain character from Love, and sorry, that made me laugh a little. Anyway, to obtain a weapon of mass destruction that isn't nuclear in nature. That was the reason why they started thinking about utilizing Hinamizawa syndrome. However, they couldn't study this disease openly. In order to utilize it for military purposes, they had to hide the existence of the disease itself. So they enlisted one researcher, Yosuke Irie. I need to make it clear that Irie isn't some far-right supporter of this secret society. He is just a young, capable doctor and an earnest researcher. He published an innovative thesis, but other academics thought he was too radical. However, that convinced Tokyo that he was more than tubular enough, that he was the only researcher suitable to study Hinamizawa syndrome. As someone young and ambitious, Irie was thrilled to take on the project of studying this rare disease with a large budget, a large staff, and his own facility. But researching the disease would mean that he'd end up infected too. No one would want to take on such dangerous research. He really was too young. With his other option being wearing down his youth, working hard at the night shift for a local practice, he wanted to answer the expectations of the sponsor who carefully selected him. Also, really quick, before I forget. Can I? Oh, I don't. Never mind. I thought I could move my body a little bit, but I'd have to like totally restart the stream a bit. So, never mind that. Another day. With his other option being wearing down, he wanted to answer expectations of the sponsor who carefully selected. Shh, fan art. You expect far too much of me. In the end, Irie was able to uncover that, as hypothesized, the Hinamizawa syndrome was a unique infectious disease, and he developed both a treatment and... Anyway... I see! The backstory, right. But how does it go? Masks, what would it be? Masks are... What the fuck did the Senran Kagura developer say at one time? Would that make Dask's hometown and bikes the other thing? I don't remember what he said. That was like a billion years ago. Anyway, this is going places. Was it Life in Hometown? It was something that got turned into a meme. I mean, we could talk about that another time. It's not it was just the meme is what I was just wanting to go for. But anyway, in the end, EDA was able to uncover that, as hypothesized, the Hinamizawa syndrome was a unique infectious disease, and he developed both a treatment. Yeah, there you go. He developed both a treatment and a vaccine. EDA was extremely talented. The EDA Institute was formed to study the disease. EDA was nominally the head of the organization, but Tokyo still sent out a supervisor because, when all was said and done, he was just a researcher. That supervisor was Mio Takano. Takano's job at the Institute was to act as a go-between for Tokyo and EDA, manage the research progress, and preserve its secrecy. The latter was the most important part of her job. She had to do her best to prevent people from finding out that EDA was researching the disease, or even that the disease exists at all. The Mountain Dogs were formed for that purpose. They were under Takano's command, and their job is to prevent the Institute's secrets from being discovered. The Mountain Dogs are one special forces unit specializing in unconventional warfare and owned by Tokyo with its vast influence on the SDF. Tokyo had set their eyes on the likelihood that a small, elite squad of covert operatives would be a trump card in the anti-nuke era. So they vigorously investigated those options. This was a worldwide trend since the Cold War. Everyone avoided sending troops directly to their enemy's doorstep. Japan was also trying to be a part of that world. As a result, by 1983, even the police have been forming secret special forces units. Prefectural Police Squad 2, the ones who intervened when Rena laid siege to her school, changed their name to Zero Company and grew into an anti-terrorism squad that handled hijackings around the Kansai airport area. The National Police Agency Squad 6 was formed as a counter-terrorism squad for Narita Airport too, and they later changed their name to 7th Company as well. They theorized that in a world where nations possessed nukes they can't use, small, elite special forces disrupting metropolitan areas would be the new way of waging war. So in 1977, they developed the SAT's predecessor, the Special Task Force SAP, to serve as the National Police Agency's trump card in securing peace. Likewise, the Japan Coast Guard established their Special Task Force, the SST, in anticipation of unconventional warfare on the coast. These are several known special force units in Japan. When they hear a phrase like special forces, most people tend to think of a movie or a comic book. However, these units actually exist and are protecting Japan in secret. During the famous incident of suspicious boats off the coast of Noto Peninsula, the news reported that the boats sank before the helicopter squad trained in gun battles. The squad was recalled, but that was because the Coast Guard's SST acted. However, the news never mentions the SST or any other special forces unit. All of these units were established after Tokyo made a suggestion about it to the government. Researching military tactics under the name of peace and order worked perfectly for Tokyo. But since the mid-century anti-war movement made people resent those forces, these special units have been kept secret as of 1983. Furthermore, these units are not all formed under the jurisdiction of the police. There are still many other military units that are kept secret from the average citizen. The Mountain Dogs are actually one of those special units. They specialize in kidnapping, espionage, and preserving secrecy. You might as well call them an assassination unit. They were around during the dam conflict as well. Tokyo worked to put an end to the dam project because of the impact it would have on EDA's research. The Mountain Dogs were the ones who kidnapped the Minister of Construction's grandson. Most people believe that the Sonozaki family was at the center of the movement, but in reality, the Mountain Dogs were responsible for many of the things the Sonozakis were accused of. Oof! To the dam project. It's always the goddamn dam project. In that sense, the existence of the Sonozaki family was an advantage to the dogs. Those dogs. Their main job after the dam conflict ended has been to continue keeping the disease hidden from the public. With the spread of information networks in the modern age, the media jumped onto any unusual incident and quickly aired it to the whole nation. Tokyo doesn't want the disease to be known nationwide since they're trying to utilize it for their own purposes. Man, imagine Higurashi being written 20 years later than it was in the times we live in now. When you have a disease that is known nationwide and no one gives a shit. But I digress. Actually, no. Japan did do it. To be fair, Japan did do a pretty good job. So I'll give them that. Anyway, the main task of the Mountain Dogs is to kidnap people suffering from. Oh, I mean, okay. Comparatively, the bar is really low. Is the thing. It is so low. From my perspective, I have to say that because I've seen some really bad, but you're right. I mean, everyone, I feel like no one really did good after like but you know. Oh, Christ. Oh, Christ. That's a big oof. Still better than, you know, even so, I mean, that's still... Yeah, all right. I will amend what I said. They did a lot better. They didn't do great. They did better. And I am... Yeah. 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 Anyway, let's go back to talking about, yeah, it is rough. Is the kidnap? Oh no, no, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I mean, I'm the one who brought it up. I mean, the game kind of did, sort of. Mountain Dew, yeah, yeah, Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew, favorite drink of the Mountain Dogs. Someone needs to draw Okonogi doing an ad for Mountain Dew now. Anyway, the main task of the Mountain Dogs is to kidnap people suffering from Hinamizawa syndrome. They pose as gardeners, but in actuality, they patrol the village to make sure nothing strange happens. Actually, okay, real quick, I gotta put up a picture of something I made a long time ago. Semi-long time ago. It's one of the something I've made that I'm very proud of. It won't make sense if you have not read Seconia, but I'm very proud of it. Well, let me just pull it up because it's relevant to what I just said. I didn't mean it was accidentally. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh no, don't tell me it's not here on this computer. I need to find it. Where are you? I'll search Okonogi. Oh wait, then it's gotta be on my Twitter. 1 second. I know we veered off, but come on. No, don't tell me. Motherfucker! How many years ago was? Oh man. Alright, let me Seconia. There it is. Yes. This will be totally worth it, I promise. Oh, congrats, Moki. Hell yeah. Okay, yeah, you're stuck with me, Moki. You can't leave. Alright. Alright, here it is. Very proud of this image. If you haven't, if this will not make sense if you are not familiar with Seconia, but it's okay. Someone out there will get it someday, maybe. I don't know. I'm proud of it. It's okay. I'm gonna get to it. I mean, it's a Rick and Morty meme, so I don't know if you should be. I don't know. And I've never even seen Rick and Morty, so but it fits really well, so they're the ones who demon white people who go missing. They're probably also involved in some of the mysterious deaths too. Oh, look at this handsome man. The last important person is Tomitake Jiro. I don't know his real name. He was an auditor who was sent from Tokyo 4 times a year. He came to check on the progress of the research and outline requests from Tokyo. He discussed the research budget with EDA too. He also got the observation report on EDA from Takano. That was his purpose. EDA started out by studying the autopsy results of dead villagers, and he discovered many answers from that. In 1979, the Mountain Dogs kidnapped the culprit behind the murder of the construction chief, who was a terminal patient of Hinamizawa syndrome. The nature of the disease was dramatically clarified. The research made rapid progress after that, and they discovered a vaccine, medication, and other methods of treatment for the disease. At the same time, they continue to investigate how to utilize it for military purposes. One of the interesting findings of the research was that the pathogen can only be found when the patient is still alive. On top of that, they couldn't detect the presence of the pathogen at all unless they used a certain inhumane method. Uh-oh. In other words, it's virtually impossible to detect the pathogen by normal means. It left almost no trace, and the unusual symptoms it produced seemed like voluntary behavior. They concluded that the disease could be used to their advantage. However, Tokyo has been going through Nothing inhumane, huh? It was only like an hour ago where she was throwing herself. Well, we don't need to. That was honestly a very charged scene, so. Tokyo has been going through some changes. It's been almost 50 years since the war ended. The leaders and shadows behind Japan's government who ruled from the center of Tokyo began growing infirm and opening up seats, steadily passing their leadership to the new generation. The whole organization has started to shift. Of course, the purpose of Tokyo has stayed the same. Oh god, now I'm imagining this entire thing being narrated by Morgan Freeman. It's still a secret society of ultranationalists. I can't do a good Morgan Freeman, but we want Japan to be at the top of the world. However, their ambition to start a war with America and take over the world has diminished. Tokyo has directed its priorities toward the economy, international affairs, and education. That doesn't mean that those ambitions are gone entirely, however. Several seniors still alive retain those ambitions. Tokyo continues to finance military research, but for the present-day Tokyo, its research is actually something of an embarrassment. The new Tokyo is no longer interested in this project, and they announced that they're going to cut their budget as soon as those seniors pass away. However, Irie objected to that plan. He strongly appealed for the continuation of his research. This is what Okunogi was talking about. Irie is in disagreement with Tokyo. Irie's research has been making great progress. They've discovered various treatments and testing methods, and he's even starting to develop a treatment plan for the whole village. If they cut his funding, Irie's research would end without any results. I'm gonna take that as a compliment, if you don't mind. Tokyo had a discussion with Irie through Tomitake, and they decided to shut down his research partially, but not fully. However, they told him to immediately stop researching military applications of the disease, destroy all the research data related to that. Oh god, you're gonna make me blush. Anyway, he had little interest in weaponizing the disease anyway, so Irie accepted those terms right away. Tokyo probably believed that it was better to let him find a cure for the disease than to terminate the project entirely. At this point, Irie considers himself one of the villagers. Perhaps exterminating the disease infecting the villagers without their knowledge is his way of atoning for using the village to advance his research and reputation. Both Tokyo and Irie agreed to fully terminate his research as soon as he discovered a way to completely eradicate Hinamizawa syndrome. Irie made a plan for the next 3 years, and he promised them that he would find a resolution by 1986 at the latest. The meeting they had this June was to discuss the plan and budget for the next 3 years. Which brings us back to the beginning. One theory goes that Irie is in opposition with Tokyo, and as his trump card, he's planning to kill Furude Rika. The other theory is that Takano killed Tomitake, and as her trump card, she's going to kill Furude Rika. I suppose I need to explain why Furude Rika can be a trump card. The answer to that lies in the ancient traditions of Hinamizawa. Supposedly, members of Furude family have the blood of Oyashiro-sama in their veins. I explained earlier that Oyashiro-sama was made up as a method for having people cope with the disease. However, that's actually not true. For the demons, the pathogens, to survive, a certain being must be present. That being is the successor of the Furude family line. The truth behind the advent of Oyashiro-sama and the coexistence of humans and demons is that Oyashiro-sama was actually the queen of the village. According to Irie's research, Rika is adored by the whole village not only because she's a charming little girl, but because she's the queen carrier. Infected patients are unconsciously driven to protect their queen. Irie says that this is done with pheromones. I mean, since it's Irie saying it, on the one hand, you know, it's kind of sus. Alright. Rika's mother was also adored by everyone. Well, alright, fine, there you go. She was little. However, as soon as she gave birth... I was about to go along with it, but then this line. However, as soon as she gave birth, people's attention quickly shifted to Rika. Irie calls it the succession of the throne. The queen is a precious existence to people in this village. There are theories that carriers of the disease are actually unable to survive when away from the queen, not from the village itself. Irie's research indicates that the queen can only survive in Hinamizawa, and infected patients can only stay alive when they are around her. But this is just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Surprisingly, however, the doctor who first discovered the syndrome was also aware of the existence of the queen. That doctor was also knowledgeable about Hinamizawa's culture, and he was interested in how much value the village placed on the Furude family. He theorized that the queen lying in the Furude bloodline might have the power to manipulate the whole village. The truth is still unknown, but perhaps the Furude family really has held such power since ancient times. Miraculous power that would make them perfect for serving in the priesthood. Although the only thing that Rika can do is be doted upon by the villagers. If all this is true, then the question is, what would happen if the queen disappeared from the village? During the war, a doctor prophesied that if the queen were to die, then all the infected would show terminal symptoms, and the whole village would be wiped out. He advocated for strict preservation of the queen's host. Okay, the way they're talking about it, it's like a parasite, and so when the mother gives birth, the parasite literally just like hitches a ride onto the baby. Like fresh meat. This is pretty crazy. Rika is important to Tokyo, not only because Irie found many answers after running tests on her body. If Rika Furude dies, the 2,000 people in Hinamizawa will turn into demons. It would happen too fast for people to even realize that they're getting sick. They will each be overcome with a violent persecution complex and start killing each other out of fear. This is why the mountain dogs are protecting the queen, Furude Rika. Her death spells the end of the whole village. That's why Furude Rika is the trump card for those who know that she's the center of the whole epidemic. This is the story of Hinamizawa. Our tale begins in June 1983. Tokyo's liaison, Tomitake, was found dead of the disease even though he was vaccinated against it. On the same night, Takano was kidnapped and also murdered. Though I don't know for sure if she's really dead or not. Furude Rika is also going to be murdered soon enough. While I've suspected Ide and Takano, this was my first time doubting Tokyo. I always thought that they were on my side. They had to be. My death would lead to nothing but disaster. At the same time, there might be people within Tokyo who could use my death as a trump card. I never considered that there were opposing factions within Tokyo. I guess I was naive enough to not realize that Tokyo had internal problems due to the generation gap. Anyway, I wouldn't be feeling this way if I didn't suspect that Takano might still be alive. I feel like I'm starting to see the greater picture. Possible too that Takano is the victim and Ide is the bad guy. The mountain dogs might be on my side, and they might be assassins who are trying to kill me. I was too scared to choose a wine that might be at risk of having something poisonous mixed in which case I could rest assured with a fresh, unopened bottle, even if it was a little bad. After telling everything to my friends, I finally realized I could only trust them and the police. Hey, thanks for stopping by, and yeah, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Hope you have a good one. I'm really dumb. I thought I was thinking so hard, but I never actually understood anything. After all this time, I made things clear just by talking about them with my friends. I'd never have thought it would make such a big difference. I'm sensing a theme with you, Rika. Me. And then she goes, me. And that's the end of my story. Me pa. there it is. There it is. Yep, I was waiting for it. And as I thought, everyone was staring at me with their mouths open in shock. Even Oishi wouldn't believe a story like this. I don't know. Oishi came pretty close to believing Rena's alien story, and that one was, you know, that's only normal. I'm sure I sound like a crazy person. Satoko, you go to the clinic every week to help with Idea's research, right? We're actually not just helping him. We go there so you can get treatment. I remember you told me that Satoko is ill. Me? As you said, it's not only me, but the whole village that is infected with this disease. Why would I have to take the shot every day and not everyone else? I thought it was just a new type of vitamin that Coach is developing. At one point, you were a terminal patient, Satoko. That's why you need 2 shots every day to keep your symptoms under control. PDA is very passionate about saving you, but he still can't find a better treatment than that. Don't think he's not still working hard to find a cure, though. Don't you joke around! I thought we were getting financial support by aiding his research. I don't want to get those shots every day for the rest of my life. Satoko looked upset that she had been completely ignorant of all this. She also didn't want to accept the reality of having to manage her condition. Her fake laughter sadly echoed in everyone's ears. Eiichi opened his mouth to speak. So, if she misses a shot, she'll react like she did the other day? There was a day when she forgot to take her shot. She convinced herself that the principal was her uncle. Her fear escalated. Yeah. They actually did talk about when that came up. I think they did actually. I think it was either. I think when we were in Keiichi's perspective, I think he did talk about diabetes actually. But I mean, she doesn't know better. She convinced herself that the principal was her uncle. Her fear escalated, and she thought her uncle came inside the school to take her back home. Once she feels that way, there's no turning back for her. Yes, she will. That's why I tell her to be sure to take her shot every day. I don't believe you. What do you mean I'm a terminal patient? Why me exactly? I refuse to believe it. When did I even become so sick? Satoko's face contorted as tears began to flow from her eyes. I shouldn't have said this. Satoko is starting to remember something she's not supposed to. I'm sorry, Satoko. You don't have to remember. That was just an accident. It wasn't your fault. No, this is a lie. You're just lying to us. The others probably had no idea what Stantoko was talking about. They don't need to know. They don't want to know about it because they're her friends. Anna gently touched Santoko's shoulder. She gently touched mine too. We believe your story, Rika-chan. Thank you. And you've been carrying such a heavy burden for a long time. I'm proud of you. You've been struggling all alone to this day. I never thought Rena would say something like that to me. My eyes were filling up with tears. Difficult to have a secret that you can't tell people. Mine was hardly a big deal compared to yours, but I could still sympathize with you. I agree. You've done your best too, sis. I often shift the blame onto you to relieve myself so I can tell. You're all going to believe my story? Of course. We're your goddamn Nakamas! We said we'd believe you. It's a bit of a relief, since a lot of my questions about this village are all answered now. So, is everyone in this village infected by that disease? That Hinamizawa syndrome? Yes. Everyone is infected, but unlike hundreds of years ago, this disease is much weaker now. That's why people can survive even if they move far away or go somewhere far for a trip. Some people still get sick, right? I'll never leave this village again. Ha 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 ha! Even if you do get sick, you can still control the illness yourself. It's very simple, yet very difficult. If you think you might be suspicious of someone, don't be. Continue to trust in them. When you become too suspicious of someone, that suspicion will degenerate into a persecution complex, and it will be too late. So long as everyone stays friendly and united, you will never have to worry about this disease. This disease starts with anxiety. Modern people don't believe in curses the way people long ago did. That might be why we're more tolerant to the disease. I see. And we should be fine. Yep, we're friends and we're family. We would never suspect each other. Yup. For sure. I'm gonna believe everything that you said today. You couldn't talk because you were afraid that the mountain dogs would hurt us, right? I nodded quietly. I don't want to think that the mountain dogs have bugged this room. But if Okunogi overhears this conversation, they will definitely kill not only me, but all of my friends tonight. That's true no matter who my enemy is. Well, it sounds as if we should all get ready for battle. Let's sum up the story. Someone might come and kill you, knowing that your death will cause chaos and destruction in the village. Is that correct? They'll definitely come for me. Are you sure? Will they get rid of their trump card that easily? She's quite right. A trump card is like a pile of gold. Isn't it better to keep your hands on it? Satoko's eyes were still swollen, but she had stopped crying. But think about it, Satoko. If you have more than one trump card, you'd want to play one of them right away. That's true. It's more effective to have more than one hostage. One hostage is not as valuable as many of them. Anyway, we don't know anything for sure, and that means we can't be too optimistic. Everyone nodded in unison. What do you think about the mountain dogs? You think they're our enemies? That's not even a question. They're like wolves trying to watch after the sheep. Just think of all suspicious people as bad guys. We need to seek help from someone who has nothing to do with Tokyo. I agree. I think you made a good choice by seeking help from the police. Oishi-san is on our side, right? Yes. Super handsome, suave cop Oishi on the case. Oishi doesn't know everything yet, so he thinks the culprit is behind the curse of Oyashiro-sama and is targeting me. What? Don't judge me. Don't judge me! I think you should talk to Oishi-san too. We need help from some adults. That's pretty risky. What if they don't believe her and step away from the investigation? We should still talk to him. He said that he's going to retire this year and that it's his last chance to avenge his old friend. I'm sure he will believe any story, no matter how wild. Yeah, he helped us when we were trying to save Stantoko-chan too. I think he'll remain on our side. Okay, let's talk to Oishi. Where is he now? He's out in Gifu Prefecture. He went to check on Takano's body. Oh, she was found in Gifu, right? Burned to death inside an oil drum. Why does he have to go there directly to check on her? There's a possibility that it might not be Takano's body. The Gifu Police Department isn't being very cooperative. He said that the mountain dogs specialize in preserving secrets and manipulating information, right? That corpse is pretty suspicious. I don't think she's the kind of person who would die just from being burnt a little. Ha ha ha! It's still possible that Irie is the bad guy and that he killed Takano. Also, Mion, that's not quite how things like that work, but that's what Okonogi tried to make me believe. I kind of doubt that coach is the mastermind. He's just not that kind of person. I do agree. He's very nice as long as you don't let him talk about maids. Yep. That pretty much sums him up. As the manager of the Hinamizawa Fighters, I also think that the coach is innocent. He's more like someone who could be easily used. Maybe he's too good of a guy. Ha! Oh, seems like everyone suspects Takano-san. Well, we're just saying, if we compare the coach and Takano-san, you know? One of them goes, oh, I'll protect the maids, and the other one has big step on me mommy vibes, you know? You know, Nana? You know? That's what that you know is implying, obviously. Takano-san would be pretty upset to hear that. Wahahahahaha! Everyone laughed as though we were in the middle of a club activity. If they're after my life, they'll kill everyone here. It's very possible that they'll all get involved in this mess, and they know that. But they could still laugh is really significant, I think. I started laughing along, too. It's odd that Takano-san's body was found in Gifu. Someone wanted to make it look like she killed Tomitake. They would hide her body somewhere nobody would ever find. Burning her body in the middle of the woods is like begging people to come across it. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they're trying to force an unidentified body to be Takano-san just because it was found outside the prefecture and the police here can't investigate further. That's the specialty of the mountain dogs, right? It's pretty obvious at this point. The mountain dogs are working for Takano-san, right? And the leader of the dogs is saying that the manager is pulling the strings. I bet Takano-san and them are working together. Mitake-san died the way he did so that coach would be suspected. But Tokyo is the only organization who would suspect the coach. They also found the body of the true mastermind, Takano-san. Tokyo will suspect that the manager killed both of them. I see, this is a well-planned setup, though it's not perfect. Sounds like the mountain dogs are setting the coach up. Well, I think we should talk to coach directly. That's the best way to go about it. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I can tell if he's telling the truth or not, just by looking into his eyes. Yeah, you're good at that, Rena-san. The mountain dogs are also running security on Irie right now. He might not be able to get on the phone. What? It sounds even more suspicious. I hope the coach isn't in danger right now. Me too. If I was a member of the mountain dogs and I was going to set him up, I'd kill him before he said something I didn't want him to say. A dead person can't say anything. Dead men tell no tales. Oishi will return as soon as he takes care of business in Gifu. I don't know what time that will be, but he'll be here for sure. As one, everyone glanced at the clock. It was already past 6:30 p.m. and starting to get dark. No wonder I'm so hungry. We usually call it here if this was a normal day. But everyone decided to stay until Oishi came back and discussed what to do. Can I use your phone, Nika-chan? I need to call my dad and let him know that I'm going to be late tonight. I need to call my mom, too. I have to call Granny and tell her to order something for dinner tonight. You'll be in big trouble later. We have to get something to eat for those officers, too. We can order some sushi. Everyone had a sensitive reaction to the word sushi. Their stomachs were empty, after all. The same should be true of those officers, too. Are we going to order something too, Rika? I don't feel we have that kind of money. Satoko, why don't you cook a stir-fry for everyone? What? I can't! I've never cooked for this many people. Satoko stir-fry? I'd love to try it as long as there's no fingers in... Why? Why would you say that? Where is that coming from? Satoko-chan, I want to eat your food too. I want to. Yeah, like, it's not like the whole joking about a needle in an ohagi. That's just like, what? Yeah, right? There was never any of that. Was there? Is that like some reference to something I'm missing? Was he like worried about that? The only thing I could think of is maybe when she cooked in Minagoroshi, maybe that came up like as like an offhanded joke that this is a reference to. Because like it's such a weird line. Because like for a whole chapter, like one of the whole first chapters of Minagoroshi was Keiichi being like, oh my god, Satoko could cook and it's so amazing, and oh my gosh, we're becoming, you know, Nini and Imoto and all this other stuff. So it is plausible that he like teased her in such a way, like, oh, you should probably, but I don't know. That's such really anyway. At that point the phone rang. Uh-oh, is it gonna be Okonogi? Hello, Furude desu. Oh, glad to hear you're still alive. It's Oishi. Oh, good. I finished up everything in Gifu and I'm heading towards Okinomiya right now. Maybe? I'm calling from the gas station. What about Takano's body? We did it. We were right. Gifu made one incredible, easy mistake on their paperwork. What a stubborn bunch. I really had to let them have it, let me tell you. Takano and her vehicle are still missing. She may have some information regarding Tomitaka's murder, so I've just issued a search warrant for her. I'm getting close to revealing the secret of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I'm going to solve this case. Boy, she sounded so motivated. He'd finally found the hint he'd so desperately wanted. Could he actually solve the case, though? I'm looking forward to hearing your story. I'm heading to your house with Kuma-chan, so please tell us whatever you know. You can talk to me about anything you can think of. Yes, I'm ready to tell you about everything. Oh my, I look forward to hearing it. I should be there in about an hour. Sounds crowded over there. Are your friends there with you? Yes, everyone came here to offer their help. I see. You've got some wonderful friends. It's probably better for you to stay with them. Good way to keep the criminals at bay. Right, we're heading out. I'll see you soon. So reliable. Was that Oishi-san? Yes. He's heading this way with that other detective. Or Kuma-chan. Just that other detective, even though he's a bear in a suit. Oh, this is the first time this room will have so many people inside it. How many people will it be? There's 6 of us here, so 8 people. I do hope our floor won't break. Oh, I'm the 9th person. Hanyuu, were you listening to us? This is turning out to be very interesting. You think it'll be different this time? I mean, it is different this time, Hanyuu. You can't deny that. Yes, I'm sure. This time is different. Thank you, Rika. Don't say that you're sure. It would devastate you if nothing ended up changing. So, Hanyuu, you still think I'm dying today? I don't want you to die. I know what you're thinking. You don't want to believe because you don't want to be hurt. That way, you'll never be let down. I'm not going to listen to your opinions anymore. I only deal with facts and logic. You just stay there and watch like the bystander you are. Yes, I'm just a bystander. But I'm still rooting for you. Rooting for me? Thanks. Are you sure you want to root for me? Are you sure you won't be hurt if I lose? Oh. Don't be mean, Rika. Mean face. We had a rather harmonious mood going. However, a feeling of unease was beginning to settle over us. I'm getting hungry. Want to grab something on the way? Ah, that's right. It's almost 8 p.m. We had a late lunch today, so I didn't realize. We can go get something after we finish hearing your story. You've sent 4 officers there. They're probably pretty worn out by now. Hopefully Furude-san ordered them something to eat. Oishi and Kumagai had passed through Okinomiya and were getting closer and closer to Hinamizawa. Uh-oh. I am worried that we're with them right now. They hurried on their way, driving through the dark streets. I wonder what Furude Rika wants to talk to you about. Probably something outrageous. That village, used to be called Onigafuchi Village. They took the name Onigafuchi, the demon's abyss, from the local swamp. Ah, Moki! Okay, I'll see you. Have a good one. Take care. And like an abyss, it's hard to know its depth, huh? What are you planning to do about her protection? Depending on what she tells us, we might have to move her to a safer location. The whole of Hinamizawa is like a lion's den. You never know what can happen in that village. For now, we just need to hear what she has to say. The head of the Furude family is in danger, and the successor of the Sonozaki family is trying to protect her. Who would even be capable of killing Furude Rika under those circumstances? The only people I can think of are the Kimiyoshi family. I've never heard of them getting up to anything fishy. I guess there must be a fanatical religious sect lurking in the village. Wonder what secret lies at the bottom of that swamp. The road they were on was cutting through the rice fields, leading them to pass by the scene of Tomitake Jiro's murder. Takano left Tomitake there. I'm sure of that. But I wonder what he actually died of. Forensics didn't find any drugs in his system, did they? They didn't find anything, but that does prove it either way. There are hundreds of strange chemicals in this world. There's no proof that a drug wasn't used. Must be just one. It must just be one that we're not aware of. I'm sure of that. There must be some kind of drug out there that can make someone claw out their throat and die. I'm going to grill the culprit about it once I make the arrest. Of course, it would be easier if that's what Furude Rika is going to tell me. Kuma-chan, you must have learned exactly how false charges are made, seeing what happened to Gifu today. That was horrible. That guy was at our station. I'd never forgive him. He flat out refused to admit he made a mistake. The Gifu Police Department as a whole is still convinced that the body belongs to Mitaka no Mio. I will operate under the assumption that she lives. The top of the department will make the final decision. It's obvious that they made a simple mistake. They're just desperately covering it up because they'll be in trouble if they admit it. They really need to rethink their attitude. The car suddenly shook. Oh no! Okay. The concrete road had ended, leaving only gravel. At the point where the gravel road begins, you're officially in Hinamizawa. They continued to drive through the woods for a while. Kuma-chan, stop the car! What? Oishi had told him to stop immediately. Oh god, here it comes. Something bad is about to happen. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! 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 Oishi, no! Handsome suave detective, Oishi, no! Their seatbelts tightened up, keeping them in their seats. What's wrong? That car over there. I wonder what it's doing. Oishi tapped on the rearview mirror. There was a van parked just off the road. Rather beat up, it looked like it was used for a private company. There was no reason for someone to park their car here, especially at this time of night. Kumagai also thought it looked suspicious. Ooh. The car seemed empty, but there was a light flashing in the woods nearby. Probably a flashlight. Strange that a van is out here at this hour. I'm surprised you even saw it. Like I keep telling you, a detective always has to pay attention to his surroundings. I wonder what he's doing there. Is he dumping something illegally? Is he dumping someone's body? Maybe it's a pair of lovebirds on a secret date. Well, that can't be it, judging by the van. Hello, Okinomiya Security, do you read me? Good evening and good night. This is Okinomiya Security, reading you loud and clear. I need a license number scanned. That's... It might take a while. We'll wait. Oishi-san, according to this map, there's a facility of the Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation here. What in the world is a facility of the NTT? This is a facility, but it wasn't staffed. It was just a place where machines were installed. Kumagai wasn't sure how telephone lines actually work, but either way, it seemed like some kind of connecting device was located there. But that's just an ordinary van. Doesn't look like it belongs to the NTT. If it is them, shouldn't their name be on the van? Maybe some other company is contracted to do it? Anyway, we should just go and ask. Oishi wasn't sure if that was the case. After all, why would any phone company go to do maintenance so late at night? Let's go and check out what's going on. Rude-san is waiting for us, so we need to be fast. Yes, sir. His well-honed detective instinct was trying to tell him something. His feeling wasn't one that Oishi could easily explain. He had a strong sense that something was suspicious, without any real reasoning behind it. Oishi trusted that he could judge others' character with that sense. Shh. Nightingale 2 to Nightingale 1. A vehicle is stopped nearby. 2 people got out. They're probably police officers. They are approaching and will make contact in less than a minute. It was pitch black, yet they could see the 2 newcomers clearly. They were probably using a night vision scope. Roger. Attention, all units. Nightingales 2 through 5, wait for the green light. Nightingale 7 and 8, make sure the surrounding 100 meters are clear. Roger. Nightingale 4 and 5, do you copy? Nightingale 4, roger. Nightingale 5, roger. Nightingale 7, roger. Nightingale 8, roger. This is Nightingale from HQ. Nightingale from HQ. There's been some trouble during the modification of the phone facility. There's 2 police detectives. We request clearance to open fire. Roger. Wait for the order. By the time Oishi and Kumagai reached the phone facility, they were being watched from all directions. There were 2 pairs of binoculars and 2 sniper rifles pointing at them. The Mountain Dog operatives worked in 2-man units, a sniper and spotter, to secure the means of retreat. They had all taken different positions so that they could shoot Oishi no matter where he tried to run. Oh no! They were all in camouflage suits, hiding deep in the woods. Oishi, of course, had no chance of spotting them. The snipers had their rifle chained on the detectives' heads. Oishi and Kumagai had no idea that they were on the verge of losing their very lives. The snipers' rifles had their safeties on, but a flick of their thumbs would release them. In other words, they were ready to shoot if given the order. The detectives found the fenced-in machinery right behind the parked van. There was a sign there saying it was the property of the Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation, and another sign warning people to keep away. Hello, good evening. Sorry, but could you step back? We're in middle of a maintenance operation. There were 4 men working there wearing blue overalls. They had a toolbox open and were working on some wires. Sorry to interrupt. We're from the police. We were wondering what you guys were doing, since it's pretty strange to see a van parked out here. Good evening, officers. We're almost finished here. Where are you guys? You're not from the NTT, are you? Oh, we're not. No, we're from Okonogi Electrics. Uh-huh. Oh, sorry, I'm out of business cards. Okonogi Electrics? Where's your office located? Well, it's in Okinomiya. Could you give me the phone number and address of your office? Why do you want to know? You forgot the telephone number? Oishi looked at them with a piercing glare. Their response was very suspicious. Usually, the vehicle of an electric company is full of various types of electrical equipment and repair tools. However, the van parked there had nothing inside, and it looked just like an ordinary car. Also, a company vehicle usually has the name of the company painted on it. But this one was just a plain van with no markings on it. None of that was the reason Oishi found them suspicious, though. It was their attitude that bothered him. They didn't sound nor look like typical contractors. They were obviously not electricians. It was far too late in the day, and there were far too many of them. They were also clearly suspicious of Oishi. However, that was all he could tell just by looking around. He found them suspicious, but had no idea what they were up to. One of the men told Oishi the phone number. Kumagai wrote down the number so he could ask the station to call and confirm it was real. We're not doing anything suspicious. You guys are very suspicious. Who are you? If you're really a contractor, you should have proof of that, but you don't have anything. Besides, everything about you seems off. Officer, please don't cause us any trouble. Just leave us alone. We need to finish up our job here. Judging from their progress, it didn't look like they'd be cleaning up anytime soon. In fact, it almost seems like they were just getting started. It's pretty obvious that you're lying, son. You should have studied the role a little better if you wanted to pretend to be an electrician. Oishi raised his voice threateningly. The members of the Mountain Dogs gradually started to look more and more annoyed. Oishi looked over their expressions and gave them a big, wide grin. However, Oishi had no idea. He thought he could handle these suspicious people with no issues. Of course, in reality, they were horrific demons that he had no chance against. Meanwhile, Kumagai was heading back to the car. He was intending to contact the police department. He was going to call the station using the radio. Then, in turn, the police department would contact the NTT. That way, it would become clear who they were really dealing with. HQ to Nightingale 1, you have permission to fire. Nightingale 7, clear. Nightingale 8, clear. The sniper was still aiming at Kumagai's head as he headed back toward the car. The safety, that last line protecting Kumagai's life, was disengaged. The sniper put his finger on the trigger. He was wearing a glove with the fingertips cut out. The finger poking through the hole was very rough and merciless, for as soon as he slightly moved that finger, he would take someone's life. Nightingale 1 to sniper team, all green. Kumagai heard a quiet noise. It was similar to the sound of the jump rope that he used to use as a whip when he was little. And that was the last thought Kumagai had in this world. Kumagai collapsed onto the gravel. That was it. He didn't even twitch. Oishi was laying on his back on the concrete after getting shot in the chest. His lungs were filled with blood, which began to pour out of his mouth. Oishi only realized that he'd been shot when the world began to blur before his eyes. As his world keeled over, he saw a man in a work uniform leveling a gun at him, but it didn't matter anymore as he started drowning in his own blood. This is Okinomiya Security. You've scanned the license plate number. Detective Oishi? Detective Oishi, please come in. Huh? Did we lose the signal or something? Detective Oishi, come in. He's not answering. Oishi-san wanted a plate number scanned? Whose car is it? It's just a villager's car. No one special. Who is it? It must be someone suspicious if Oishi-san is asking about them. It really seems like nobody out of the ordinary. No accidents. No tickets. He probably got pissed off after that car passed him or something. He can be a pretty stubborn guy sometimes. This is Nightingale. Both targets eliminated. Resuming the mission. Roger. Be sure to dispose of their vehicle. Major, Nightingale just terminated 2 officers. They're resuming their mission. Oh, fancy Takano-san. Sweet dreams, Oishi-san. Too bad. He was getting so close to catching me. Can I get a cup of coffee? Absolutely. This is getting complicated. There are still several officers at R's house, and her friends are there as well. R must know that she's getting murdered tonight. Someone is leaking information. I think we should postpone the plan. We have to have her corpse by tomorrow. That's what's most convenient for the people in charge. We have to execute this mission tonight. The crucial part of this final mission was the death of Rika and what came after that. They couldn't just kill her whenever they wanted. Doing it at the right time was vital. Maybe she's panicking at the dog's excessive security? No, not that information is being leaked. She's predicting it. She knew that Tomitake was to die, and she even knew how my body was going to be found. She's the queen. She's the genuine heir to the blood of Oyashiro-sama, her priestess, and the queen positioned at the top of Hinamizawa's supernatural phenomena. It's impossible to hide things from God. Assassinating Furude Rika won't be so easy. Alright, Rika-chan. See which of us deserves to inherit the legend of Oyashiro-sama. Your death will be the final curse of Oyashiro-sama, and it will mark the finale of this legendary village. When that happens, my plan will become the real curse. It was now past 8 p.m. Neon ordered some noodles for us, her treat. We also ordered some food for the 4 officers, and we all ate together. We were supposed to call it a night as soon as we talked to Oishi, but he's still not here. However, we all took it easy, assuming that they'd get here sooner or later. It's getting late. Once you get to Hinamizawa, there aren't many places to get something to eat. I'm sure they're having a quick dinner before coming here. However, the 4 officers seem anxious. They all had families, but Oishi didn't tell them how late they'd have to be out here. They're hoping that Oishi will bring other officers to relieve them so they can go home. I called the station, but all they said was that Oishi was on his way, and we should wait because he'll be here soon. That Oishi sure is late. I'm sure he's stuck in traffic. It's still rush hour. Is it? Those officers have been here since this afternoon, right? They must be tired by now. I know. It sucks that they don't even know when they can go home. Should we patrol outside so they can get some rest? We can have Santoko set up some traps to prevent strangers from coming in here. Oh, good thinking, Shion-san. However, just think. This is our house. We already have several traps set up around this place. Really? We should be careful when we're around here. With our stomachs full, the mood in the house had returned to a light-hearted one. True, we shouldn't be relaxed, but knowing that Oishi would be here shortly made us feel relieved. But he's so late. He said he'd be here in an hour. Jan mentioned he might have gotten stuck in traffic. But I'm sure Oishi was considering that. It's too bad I don't have an invisible ghost person that could go and check on him and come back to me and let me know. Man, gosh, it's too bad about that. That's why he told me it'd take him about an hour. It had now been 1 hour since the time Oishi was supposed to get here. I want to believe that he's getting something to eat on the way, but I'm starting to get concerned. Oishi still hasn't shown up. It's almost 11 o'clock. The officers are completely exhausted. They had even started to smoke cigarettes outside. My friends are becoming tired too. Satoko is yawning. It's way past our bedtime. Everyone else is getting tired and sleepy. We've been spending our time watching TV and reading manga. I can feel my fear succumbing to sleepiness. The day is almost over. I'm going to survive the day I'm supposed to die. Does that mean I escaped my deadly fate? No, I'll have to fight endlessly from tomorrow on. I was going to discuss that with Oishi. He's not here. I don't know what to do from this point on. Suddenly the phone rang, breaking the silence. Is that Oishi-san? Hello, this is the Furude residence. Sorry to call you this late. This is Komiyama calling from the Yokinomiya Police Department. By any chance, is Detective Oishi there with you? No. We've been waiting for him for a long time. Let's see. We'll send out more officers, so will you tell the ones there to leave once their relief comes? Oh, okay, I'll do that. So where is Oishi? We got a call from him this evening saying he was heading there directly, so we thought he'd be with you already. The officers were supposed to return after Oishi arrived, but they haven't come back, so we were wondering what was going on. That's what I'd like to know, but arguing with the man on the phone wouldn't accomplish anything. I hung up and gave the message to the officers downstairs. It looked like everyone already heard our exchange on the phone. I wonder what's going on. He's way too late. Maybe he ran into some important case that he had to take care of. He would have called us if so. He told us that he was on his way. I think he'd call us if something was going on. Was he attacked by Tokyo? No way! But if they're really as scary as Rika-chan told us, that might be possible. He probably had something to take care of. I bet he forgot to call us. Remember, he's a tough guy. No one can take him down that easily. I do hope he gets here soon. Satoko yawned. Everyone laughs, but some of them are trying not to yawn themselves. We can't stay up forever. We decided that we'd call it a night once the replacement officers arrived. I'm sure I've survived past the time I was supposed to die. That's probably because the police were protecting me. Perhaps both Takano and the mountain dogs are on my side, and they took care of the murderer. I don't know who was changing my fate. Maybe my fate hasn't been changed and I'm going to get killed soon anyway. I don't know if it's because of the police or because of the mountain dogs, but the only thing I know for sure is that I'm still alive. Soon I heard the noise of someone walking on the gravel on the shrine grounds. One of my friends suggested that it might be Oishi, but I doubt it. I don't want to expect him and be disappointed when it's not. I'm starting to think like hanyuu. Good evening, I'm Komiyama. I'm from the Yokinomiya Police Department. It wasn't Oishi. 2 of his fellow detectives had arrived instead. They were going to stay downstairs and have the 4 officers return home. He also told my friends to leave. We'll stay here to protect her, so please go home. Your families must be worried about you. Thank you so much, everyone. The detectives are here, so I'm okay now. Are you sure? We'll stay here tonight if you like. I'm fine. Besides, I don't have any extra pajamas and blankets for you guys. See you tomorrow, then. We'll try and stay with you as much as we can from now on. How about we do club activities here after school? That would be wonderful! My floor might break with all these people here. Wahahaha! It might really break! Well, Rika-chama, we're going home now, but be careful. Do not go out alone in the dark under any circumstances. I'll be careful. Alright, see you tomorrow. Yes, see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Am I really going to see them tomorrow? Really? They're gonna leave? So many things over the past 100 years. I've done many things, and I have memories of most of them. So I feel so scared on the day I die. The only day that I have no memory of. I don't even know if I'm approaching or escaping death right now. All I know is that this fear is going to continue until I find some kind of solution. As I started getting ready to go to bed, Satoko suggested that I should sleep in my regular clothes rather than my pajamas. She was thinking that I should remain dressed, just in case someone tries to attack me in my sleep. It sounded ridiculous, but she was just trying to be considerate. I decided to do what she told me to. Satoko seemed so sleepy until a few minutes ago, but she suddenly started passionately explaining to me all the traps she had set on the shrine grounds. She assured me that strangers will end up trapped if they try to sneak inside this building. To someone else, it might sound like she was just trying to brag, but Satoko was trying to make me feel better. After everyone else left, she noticed how scared I looked. Satoko's kindness and everyone else's kindness. I feel like it was the right decision for me to talk to my friends. Even if that won't end up changing my fate. Mika, Hanyuu showed up again. She looked upset, so she was probably still thinking that I could get killed at any minute. Did you go look for him? But I'm actually starting to feel a little better. I might get killed tomorrow, but I feel like I can rest safely, at least tonight. I'm more concerned about the fact that Oishi didn't show up. Still, even if he didn't, there are other detectives here, and they will stay on guard downstairs without sleeping. As long as they're here, I think I'll be safe tonight. What's wrong? Are you hungry? I didn't eat anything sweet today. Do you want me to drink some juice? Hanyuu would usually cheer right up when I suggested drinking some juice, but not this time. Her face looked pale, as if she wasn't even alive. Something out of the ordinary had clearly happened. Oh, is she gonna do it? What's wrong? It's almost time. Oh no. That sounded far more like a declaration than a prediction. Even Hanyuu doesn't have any memories of my death. There's no way she can tell when I will be killed. However, she sounded so certain just now. Perhaps we can feel it in the very cells of our body. Our bodies understand fate far better than we do. Up until now, I felt reassured that we could get through it somehow if we were all together. But as I clung to that life preserver with the hole leaking air, I was starting to drown in a sea of despair and struggling to keep my head above water. No, I can't let myself feel that way. I have to believe. It's okay, Hanyuu. I'm going to fight. Even if I get killed tomorrow, I'm not going to die tonight. Hanyuu just gave me a look of faint sadness. That signless told me that my pitiful hope was going to push me down into a futile reality. I stared at Satoko as she continued to brag about her traps. If I'm getting killed shortly, Satoko won't be safe either. I quickly interrupted her talk about traps. The time was 1 in the morning. As it's hardly a big city, 1 a.m. in Inamizawa is the middle of the night. The darkness gets here very deep. The darkness here gets very deep. There was light leaking out from the first floor where 2 detectives sat on guard, but everything else was pitch black. Even the moonlight seemed indistinct. It's time. 2 detectives are downstairs. It's been more than an hour since the light went out above them, waiting orders to begin the attack. What a beautiful night. You have permission to engage. Did we terminate the detectives? Yes. Everyone in the Furude Shrine will be demoned away tonight. Better that way. HQ to Phoenix. Commence the mission. Terminate the 2 detectives. You do not have permission to fire. I repeat, you do not have permission to fire your weapons. HQ to Nightingale. Phoenix has commenced the mission. Shut down the phone lines. Roger, we're shutting them down. They had been working to disable the phone lines, just in case their targets tried to contact the police during the attack. That mission was what Oishi happened to bump into. Let's begin. Phoenix 1 to all units. Be prepared when you enter. Terminate the 2 detectives on the first floor and the 1 companion on the second. Do not leave any evidence. Do not fire your weapons or use any gas. Use your tasers. Remember, they have guns. Do not let them fire. Come on, don't embarrass me, Yokonogi. I'm just doing my job. Phoenix 7 and 8, advance forward. Backup teams, secure the perimeter. Roger, we're heading in now. The 2 men in uniform slowly approached the building. The mountain dog's uniform is gray, so it didn't blend in with their surroundings at all. However, it doesn't look as suspicious as real camouflage suits. Of course, they looked suspicious enough, creeping up to the house like that anyway. They could both see light leaking from the door and hear the voices of the detectives. Rika would typically use this sliding door to get inside. The door was locked, but the mountain dogs had obtained a spare key a long time ago. They put the key in the keyhole, but it wouldn't go in smoothly. They were certain it would make some kind of noise when they turned it. The detectives would notice them the minute they did that. They'd have to rush inside and defeat them in one swift burst. Phoenix's 7 and 8 glanced at each other. This is Phoenix 7. We've arrived at the target location. Waiting for your command. Takano here. Make it nice and clean. Go ahead. Roger. We're breaking in. He turned the key in a hurry and opened the lock. By the time the detectives turned around, the door was already open and the 2 mountain dogs had stepped inside. They aimed their weapons at the detective while the latter was still turning around. In a fight like that, the first 2 seconds are the most crucial moments. Ugh! Ah! The detectives collapsed, making minimal noise. There were needles stuck in their bodies, and those needles were connected via wires to the attackers' guns. In other words, the weapon those 2 had weren't ordinary guns. They were stun guns in the shape of firearms. Instead of bullets, they shoot out electric needles that electrocute their victims into unconsciousness. Normally, they would be non-lethal weapons that allow the shooter to capture their victim without harming them much, but their tasers had been modified. The 2 dogs started walking up the stairs as soon as they confirmed that the detectives were no longer breathing. But in the next moment, they heard a loud noise above them. This is Phoenix 10. R and her companion have noticed us. They just jumped out from the 2nd floor window. They're running into the forest. Attention, Phoenix 4 and 5. They're heading your way. Capture them. Roger, let's go. Phoenix 4 spotted the 2 girls and started after them, but he suddenly stepped on something hard. Ooh, snap! With a cheap-sounding explosion, the area was filled with smoke. That was the trap Satoko had set using firecrackers! That had proven to be a very fortunate idea. The mountain dogs dropped to the ground, assuming that they were under fire. That gave Rika and Satoko a chance to escape. Who are they? Are they the organization from Tokyo you were talking about? I think so. Just run. We're dead if they catch us. What's going on? What was that noise? This is Phoenix 5. Someone was shooting at us. R has escaped. We'll continue the pursuit. Shit! They were just some firecrackers. Damn it! That must be Satoko-chan's handiwork. He's pretty good. What? Hurry up! Don't let them escape inside someone's house. This is Phoenix 18. I've started the target. I need some backup. They know this area very well. If we don't get them now, we'll definitely lose them. This wasn't a game of hide and seek, it was a game of tag. Several men in uniform were chasing after Rika and Satoko. They weren't idiots, so they didn't waste energy on a futile act of shouting wait. This was a quiet, deadly game of tag in the middle of the night. Where are we going? Let's split up to try and shake them off. They'll meet at Mii's house. Her basement will be safe, and we can contact the police from there. Satoko had no idea that Mion had a basement in her house, but she didn't have time to ask anything about it under her current circumstances. All she did was nod. Bang! The next moment, I felt my left foot catch on something and I fell down to the ground. I must have tripped on a rock or a piece of concrete. Rika! Get out of here, Satoko! You'll be killed! But Satoko wouldn't move on without me. She came back to lend me a hand. I stood up without her help, but this cost us too much time. One of the men had almost caught up with us. I didn't know what to do, but Satoko, upon seeing him, quickly reacted. Ugh! Satoko ran toward him and kicked him with all her might. Her foot had landed right in his face. I wish I had a camera. But there were 2 more of them right behind the first man. I can see them clearly now. They're the gardeners from that landscape company. They're wearing the same uniforms Okunogi is always wearing. They must be the mountain dogs. Now I'm certain that Takano is the culprit. And now that I know that, I can do something about it in the next world. But if I die now, will I lose my memory again? I can't die now. I need to survive so I can keep my memories. Satoko took something out of her pocket and threw it at them. It was something like sand, and it blinded them. However, even that could only buy us a few seconds. Satoko tried to run, but she froze as soon as they aimed their weapons at us. Their stun guns are only shaped like firearms. Satoko, not knowing, I thought they were real guns. Knowing that she'll be shot if she turned and ran, Satoko tried to attack them instead. Of course, there were 3 of them. Most would think it's impossible to drive them off, but Satoko didn't think about that. She had a 100% chance of dying if she tried to run. Then she might as well fight back because she might have a 1% chance of defeating them. Satoko is determined to save me even at her own expense. But I can't stay in this world if it means losing Satoko. I'm dying anyway. I'd rather die for Satoko's sake than lose her. But another me was shouting in my mind, if I don't survive this, I'll lose my memory. If I die without keeping this memory, this life and everything I've learned will all be wasted. Should I escape and leave Satoko behind? That's right. I should use this experience to my advantage in my next life. I should just let go of her in this world. No way. It really would make me a witch. But I know in my heart, there's no way I could win against these guys. I'm sure their backup will get here if we take our time to fight them. Should I fight them for her, or should I leave so I can confront my true enemy? What? I didn't push anything. Hold up. I didn't push anything. It didn't even give me a chance to think about it. Satoko's bravery gives me courage. If I left her, I'd lose my motivation to defeat fate. I don't care if I lose my memories. It only took 100 years for me to get this information. I don't care if I have to spend another 100 years in this same tomb. I can't leave Satoko. Really? Alright, I'm not gonna ruin the moment. Satoko, I'm fighting too. Mika, I told you to go. I had noticed something. They're only aiming at Satoko. There must be a reason why they can't shoot me. So I stood in front of Satoko to protect her. Just as I expected, they put their guns down and prepared to take us out with weapons. You guys are the mountain dogs, so Takano's behind this? Yeah, I'm so stupid. I know who you are, but I chose not to run. I'm not going to run, even if you're going to kill me now. Someone once told me that fate can be destroyed as easily as a piece of paper. They must think that this is my final speech. They let me talk until I was finished. You people are pathetic. That's why you will never kill me. The next moment, one of them dropped to the ground. Oh! Oh! Keiichi had... Sorry, I was turning up my volume. Keiichi had run toward him and kicked him from behind! Keiichi had kicked him right in the small of his back, and the dog was squirming on the ground. The other two tried to retaliate, but they were too late. Mion grabbed one of the guy's arms from behind and flipped him down to the ground. It must be some kind of martial art. I've seen something like that in an action movie before. Rena tried to push the remaining dog down with all her strength, but that wasn't enough to take him out. He tried to aim his gun at Rena, but she had already done what she was supposed to. All she needed to do was get his attention. Shion had snuck up behind him, and she fired her stun gun into his neck. The stun gun made a snapping noise, and the dog fell down to the ground with the rest of his friends. Wow, Kasai told me this was illegally modified. It works pretty well. Shion hit this guy too. Are you guys okay? That was close. Ran so fast, it took us a lot of time to catch up. I'm really glad we stuck around. We were waiting out here in case anything happened. I mean, you stayed out here without going back home? Yep. I saw someone who looked suspicious staring at the shrine when we were leaving. I'm really surprised you saw him in this darkness. Neither lies nor camouflage work on you, huh? So, figuring he would leave if they spoke to him, they secretly staked out that suspicious man. They started following us as soon as they heard the sound of the firecrackers. I never expected I'd be saved like this. We can't stay here any longer. What should we do now? We were trying to get to Mion-san's house. You have a basement there, apparently? The underground storehouse. That's a perfect spot. We've also got some weapons inside there. Shh! Don't say that out loud! Anyway, I think that's a good idea. I need a drink. There's several secret passages in there, so we can get the drop on them. Come on, let's go. They're still after us. A white van was approaching us. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. At high speed, it obviously belongs to the mountain dogs. The van stopped not far from us, and more people in uniform jumped out. There were at least 6 of them. If we all run, the slowest runner might get caught. So we should take them down while we can. I don't know if they have a license, but Mion and Shion know how to drive a car. We can take their van and get away from here. There's 6 of them. That's perfect. Let's beat them unconscious and steal their van. That's a good idea. Let's go get them. Mountain dogs were ready to chase us. They had no idea that we would try and attack them instead. And is always the first one to make a move in this kind of situation. She gets so determined once a decision is made. She immediately singled out one dog and punched him in the nose. Another one tried to grab her from behind, but Keiichi kicked him in the side as hard as he could. Hey, Dana, watch your back. I'll leave that to you, Keiichi-kun. Please look after me. Kinda curious about what you were like back in Ibaraki. You sure don't hesitate to punch people. And you don't hesitate to zap people with an illegal stun gun. Given that Shion had the stun gun, the mountain dogs were reluctant to go after her. They were scared of the very dangerous weapon she had in her hand. But thanks to that, Shion had stopped one of them for certain. It was fortunate for us that they didn't have any guns of their own. They had no way of countering Shion's stun gun. Stantoko attacked him from behind. She encircled his neck with a jump rope and pulled. Holy shit! Shion followed up, quickly hitting him with her stun gun. What was I doing during all that? The only thing I can do is run around and try to get their attention. They're pursuing me, after all. They want to catch me more than anything else. But that leaves them open to attacks from my friends. Keiichi had already hit the one trying to grab me. I think we have a chance here. We may not be able to take all of them down, but we could try and find a chance to escape their vehicle. With what Rika-chan said, I thought these guys would be really strong, but they're not that bad. That's just how strong we club members are. Not being afraid is probably the secret to strength. This Climb activities are practically training to rid you of your hesitation. If we all fight together, we can win this 6-on-6 battle. If any one of us wasn't here, they'd beat us easily. We'd end up dead. If my friends hadn't stayed behind, I would have been killed by now. We can do it! We can make it! The dogs Shion took down with her stun gun were starting to wake up. The ones that we knocked out earlier were also up and chasing us again. We have to get out of here. This isn't the time for me to just be running around. Fine, let's see what I can do. Rika. Hanyuu, I know you still can't believe in hope, just like always. Stay there and see what my stubbornness can do. I'm going to change this fate. I'm going to do it right here. Let me show you what I'm capable of. All right, everyone. We're going to finish this right now. Take down whoever's in front of you. Then we're going to grab their car and get out of here. Yes, I'm going to do this. You go, Rika-chan. All right, let's go. On Keiichi's signal, we attacked 6 of the mountain dogs in unison. Time gradually slowed down. I truly felt like I was trying to overcome that impossible wall of time and change my fate. However, time continued to slow even further until it stopped. What's going on? I felt like the film reel of a movie had gotten hung up partway through. Like time itself has come to a standstill. Hanyuu? What's this all about? The time has come. What? Why? Wearing a sad expression, Hanyuu pointed at Keiichi. I finally noticed something. What? 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 I think I remember, but I finally noticed something. All my friends had noticed already, except for Keiichi. Keiichi, what's that floating in front of your chest? What do you mean? Huh? What is this? Time had stopped. Just when Keiichi was about to hit his opponent, he then realized But something was floating in front of his heart. It was a metallic silver comb. Oh no. That was the first thing I could think of. No, Kei-chan! What the hell is this? Is this a bullet? That's exactly what it was. The bullet had stopped about 15 centimeters away from Keiichi's chest, just before it would enter his body. That's right. Once time starts moving again, it will slam into his chest. In other words, it's too late. Keiichi will immediately die when time starts up again. Who shot it? Those 6 guys didn't have any guns. Look, over there by the van. Satoko couldn't point at the van. Time had completely stopped after all. You could see another person standing near the van. There had actually been 7 people inside, not 6. That 7th person was the one who fired the bullet. We hadn't seen her at all. That person is someone we all know very well. Yes, it's Takano. It's Takano-san. She shot the gun? She shot Keiichi, but she did not shoot Rika-chan. In the frozen world, Takano was still smiling, still aiming her gun at Keiichi. Takano had been watching us from the van this whole time. She came out and fired her gun, knowing that we hadn't seen her at all. I see, I get it now. So Takano-san was the bad guy all along. What are we going to do? Kei-chan, can't you try and twist your body to avoid the bullet? Don't be stupid. Time is totally stopped. I can't move at all. Then try moving right as soon as time starts moving again. That might make a difference. Everyone was desperate to save Keiichi. However, no matter how hard we thought, we couldn't come up with any ideas how to save him from the bullet. We were so desperate that Keiichi started to laugh. I really don't know what's going on, but there's nothing that can be done. I'm dead the minute time starts moving again. Even if I don't die, I won't be of any help to you guys anymore. So listen, just give up on me. You only need to think about taking these guys down and getting inside of that van. Never. You can't die. I don't want to lose you. Hanyuu, are you telling me that this is my fate? Are you saying that there's no way to overcome this? Okay, Rika. You won't remember this. You won't. No! No! Kei-chan is not going to die! Stop it, Mi-chan. Let's concentrate on taking them down. I'm sure Keiichi wouldn't want us spending time turning back to him as he falls. That's exactly how I feel, Nana. Guys, that's exactly how I feel, Nana. Guys, take care of Rika-chan. Get out of here and contact Coach. They probably killed Oishi-san. That's why he never showed up. Listen, promise you'll all survive. Promise me. Keiichi. Rika-chan, I'm sorry. I'm the one who told you that we could change destiny, but I'm gonna have to retire now. It sounded just like Takano's regular laughter, but it was the scariest noise I'd ever heard. You ready to let go of your life now? Takano-san, we haven't lost just yet. Done watching your life flash before your eyes? The silence suddenly ended and the clamor of reality returned. An explosive sound then hit Keiichi. Oh no, this isn't fair. Don't play this now. No, fuck you. No. Explosive sound then hit Keiichi straight in the chest. I watched Keiichi collapse right in front of me. He fell down on his back while his blood splattered everywhere. And after that, he stopped moving. There's no way any of us weren't shocked by that. We tried to take down the foes in front of us, but more came from behind. We tried to struggle as best we could, but there was no way we could win against those adults. I did my best to fight them off, but they pulled my hair and picked me up as if I weighed nothing. I heard everyone's desperate screams of resistance. The comforting and courageous unity we showed right up before Keiichi was shot was shattered like glass. The debris of that glass lay sadly on the ground. Takano's annoying laughter was still echoing inside my ears. Takano to HQ, I've taken care of it. I need what I told you before. I also need someone to clean up the bodies. Send me 5 bags and some water to clean up the area. Understand? Needs 5 bags. My body froze up, but time did not. Takano, laughing, pointed her gun at Mion's head. Hey, are you kidding me? I've always wanted to see that tattoo on your back. I'm going to take a peek at it later. Sure, have a look if you want. It's nothing special. Oh, you don't think I'll find it interesting? Stop! Don't shoot her! Takano shook her head in response to Rena's scream. I have to kill her. She's the leader of your club, so she has to go first. No! Stop! Ow. It was a dull noise, followed by Mion's body twitching. Bell tried to break free from the men restraining us as Takano calmly shot Mion. However, they were too strong, and all we could do was squirm like insects. Takano was enjoying watching us struggle. She then stepped towards Satoko. Shion started screaming curses at her. My, you want to be shot before her? You could have stayed alive a few more seconds if you were nice and quiet. Stop it, Shion-san. Don't agitate her like that. I know why she's doing that. Shion wants to protect Satoko for as long as she can. She's trying to do what Satoshi told her to. Takano didn't care one whit for Shion's feelings. Stepping over Keiichi's body, she approached Shion. I get it now. You killed Satoshi-kun, didn't you? Isn't that the truth? Sorry, I don't like giving out secrets, so I'm not telling. Shion's body twitched. That followed the dull sound of another gunshot. Just 2 dull sounds had stolen away the lively Sonozaki sisters. It didn't add up. I started shaking from fear when it hit me just how easily Takano can take away lives. Isn't that amusing for you to take away innocent lives? You monster! Oh, so you want to die next? You were going to be the last one if you stayed quiet. Keiichi, Mion, and Shion died. The oldest one of us left was Rena. Rena didn't want to see Santoko and me die before she did. But you were the culprit behind the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. You think you're Hoshashiro-sama's proxy or something? I'm not a proxy. I'm handing out divine punishment. It's too bad that you're not going to see it. Soon enough, Oyashiro-sama's wrath is going to destroy the whole village. But I'm the one who's going to make that happen. It's my curse. Yes, I'm going to become Oyashiro-sama. I'm going to become something more than human. You'll never understand how I feel. You'll never understand how wonderful it is to become a god. For I have transcended visual novels and become a JRPG antagonist. I don't think that's possible. No matter how much you try to become Oyashiro-sama, it won't work. It's just a game for you. You will never become Oyashiro-sama. I will. The process has already begun. Rena laughed at her. Takano seemed very upset to hear that laugh. What's so funny? It's impossible. Because Oyashiro-sama is already here. Those were Rena's last words. Well, your turn now, Satoko-chan. I don't really care if you live or die, but you're a living research sample. Tokyo has a bounty on capturing you alive. But it's not very much. My share would run out with just a trip to Europe. If I capture you alive, nothing good will happen to you anyway. I'll probably open up your skull and probe through your brain while you're still alive. Besides, I was your friend. I think it might be kinder to shoot you dead right here. Which would you prefer? I can't decide that! Satoko shouted back at her. Her eyes were full of tears. Let's do a quiz then. Which one is green, broccoli or cauliflower? No, it's broccoli! Ow. As soon as I hear that same dull sound, Satoko stopped moving. Takano smiled and said, Good girl, to what used to be Satoko. This really is such a lovely and beautiful night, don't you agree? Oh, you're going to kill me too? Yes, I will kill you. The corpse of the Queen Carrier is the key to this mission. You're going to become an ugly political tool far away in Tokyo. And then the legend of Onigafuchi will finally come to an end. I know how you're planning to kill me. Oh, you do? Let's hear it. I'm not going to say it, but I know. It's Watanagashi. She wants to do the real Watanagashi using my body. I'm sure she's planning to cut open my stomach and pull out my guts. To do that, she'll make me inhale some chemical to put me to sleep. I vaguely remember that part. I guess you already know. Good night, Nika-chan. One of the dogs approached me with a handkerchief soaked in a chemical substance. Wait a minute, Takano. Everyone's dead, but you're begging for your life? That's not it. If you're going to kill me, do it without putting me to sleep. Takano hasn't expected to hear that. Still, even though she was surprised, she nodded with a slight smile. Hanyuu was also surprised to hear that. It would obviously be a terrible way to die. What are you thinking? Wouldn't you prefer an easy and painless death? You know it's going to be horrible, right? I'm going to cut open your stomach while you're still alive. I don't want to forget about it, yes. I'm doing this so I'll remember. I'm not going to forget about it. The picture of you cutting open my stomach will be forever burned into my soul. I'm never going to forget that. Next time I see you, I'll remember that you did this to me. What are you cooking up in your little head? I guess you're smarter than the other kids. At least you'd get to have a chance to scream for your life. I'm not going to let you do that, though. They forced something other than the handkerchief inside my mouth. It was a gag. With that, I couldn't close my mouth, leading my saliva to start overflowing. Soon another van arrived. More mountain dogs came out of it. They had probably come to get rid of the bodies. They grabbed the corpses of my friends and stuffed them into body bags. After that, they sprayed a bunch of water on the ground to clean up the blood. They asked Takano how many shots she fired and started looking around for the bullets. They were erasing all of the evidence. By the time the night was over, there'd be no proof left. They pulled my hands behind my back and bound them with handcuffs. My ankles were tied up too. They also tied my ankles and wrists together. My body was bent like a shrimp and I was no longer able to walk. My mouth was covered so I couldn't even talk. I couldn't move, talk, or express myself in any other way. They had taken away everything that made me human. Therefore, I wasn't human anymore. I was just a toy named Furude Rika. A toy to give Takano joy. The car started moving. It seemed like we were going back the way we came, but I didn't care anymore. As the time of my death approached, some of my forgotten memories came back to me. That's right, I was killed like this so many times. Every time I repeated my life, Takano got pleasure out of killing me. Some boy rubbed my head. Were they trying to comfort me? I shook my head to try and refuse. They laughed at me as I did so. Rika. Rika. Hanyuu showed up. Couldn't hold back her devastated tears. Again. Didn't work. It didn't work again. Again. I saw Hanyuu's painful tears. I was convinced. I was wrong. Hanyuu is not just a bystander. She's too scared to face reality because she can't stand the pain anymore. Hanyuu wants a happy future too, but her hopes were betrayed countless times. She was hurt far too much. For some reason, seeing her sorrowful expression calmed me down. Perhaps Hanyuu was crying in my place. It's okay, Hanyuu. We did what we could. Worked very hard. We're getting so close to changing our fate for real. It still didn't work out, but for some reason, I feel satisfied. I've never fought this hard in my life. I've never learned so many things. Because I can repeat my life endlessly, I've been taking each one for granted. And everyone else is taking their lives seriously. I wasn't learning anything because I wasn't doing that. But I finally understand. I learned something from this life, and I put all my effort into it. So I'm sad that I didn't make it. I feel satisfied just the same. It's a strange kind of satisfaction. I wonder how many of these memories I can keep. I get the sense that I'm going to lose my memory of this evening. If that's the case, I will lose my memory of seeing Takano's face. I finally found out that Takano is the mastermind. Am I going to repeat the same world again, not knowing the truth? Killed my friends as if she were merely killing some bugs. I don't want to forget that. No matter how hard my death will be, I need to remember Takano's face. Hanyuu, I'm not going to give up. I don't care if I can't recall this memory. I'll continue to live my life. I don't care if I can only live in this June and that I will eventually only be able to go back to the night of Watanagashi. If that's my life, so be it. I'm not going to forget either. If you don't remember, I'll tell you the truth. Hanyuu, you knew it. You acted like an unfeeling bystander, but that's because you were afraid of the pain. I also want to have a happy future with everyone. Ooh. Hanyuu started to cry like a baby. She's so stupid. She decided to abandon hope because she didn't want to deal with the sadness that she always felt on this night. But she ended up hurt and devastated anyway. Hanyuu, are you happy that this world is ending just like you predicted? I decided not to ask her such an unpleasant question. The car stopped and 2 men pulled me out of the vehicle. We had returned to the Furude shrine. There were several men waiting in front of the offertory box. You're playing this now? Really? God, that's fucked. Nearby, there were countless sharp knives laid out on the ground. I'm going to cut open my stomach with those tools and pull out my intestine. I took off all of my clothes. I left the gag inside my mouth and the handcuffs around my wrists. I wasn't embarrassed to be naked in front of them. Rather, I was just furious. Takano was getting joy out of doing this to me. But forget this humiliation. The pain I'm about to experience should be carved into my soul forever. I'm not going to forget this. Everyone worked together and we finally revealed who was behind it all. If I forgot this, my friends' efforts and deaths will have been in vain. I need to stay alive as long as I can so that I will remember the pain. Hanyuu, don't look away. You have to watch. Remember this forever. Oh. Is this really the only way I can help you? Is this all I can do because I can't touch or talk to anyone? That's good enough. If you can continue to stare at me, I can endure this pain. Hanyuu nodded and sat right next to me while continuing to cry. We looked up at the night sky together. The moon was shining brightly, as if taking pity on me. We also looked at the faces of my murderers. That beautiful moon was gradually stained red. It's getting cold. It's so painful. I'm consumed with the fear of not being able to do anything about this. But Hanyuu is right next to me. It gives me comfort. It's not just Hanyuu either. Everyone is here with me. Everyone is there, watching me, so I can stand this torture. That's why it wasn't painful. I didn't struggle. I didn't care about Takano's crazy laughter. This was such a wonderful world. We didn't overcome this fate, but I have no regrets. Of course, I'm still sad. I'm disappointed. My future was right in front of my eyes. My hand could almost reach it. Even so, we did what we could. I have to be proud of myself. Eiichi voiced his disagreement. He still felt that we could have done more. We were almost there. We almost defeated this fate. We didn't win, but not because our enemies were strong. We didn't win because we didn't try hard enough. But all of you worked so hard together. I was watching. I saw the whole thing. But it wasn't enough. If we had a will as strong enough to overcome this fate, we should have created a miracle. That's right. A miracle will happen if everyone believes in it. Satoko, Rika-chama, and everyone else worked so hard. I'm sorry, Rika. You were brave enough to ask us for help, but I couldn't save you. Satoko held my shoulder and cried. That's true. Everyone worked so hard, but it all still didn't work out. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I'm going to die again, but I've never felt so good about it. I've learned so many things in this world. Nika-chan, I know why the miracle didn't happen in this world. Rena spoke gently, but she wasn't smiling at all. Hey, did everyone really believe that we could create a miracle? If you're hoping for a future, but not everyone believes in it, then a miracle won't happen. What are you saying, Rena? We were united. No one had any doubts that we could overcome this fate. Right, Mion? Yeah, he's right, Rena. Everyone thought we could overcome it. Everyone believed that we could. That's quite true. Even Rika believed in it. She finally believed that with our help she could change her destiny. I believed in it too, but I think there was someone who didn't believe. Who was that? What? Who can it be? Hey, you. Rena turned to Hanyuu and asked her a question. Did you believe? Did you believe that we could overcome this fate? Oh. Even if you can't talk to us or touch us, you can still believe. If you'd believed in us, the miracle would have happened. Would something really have changed if I believed? I'm a powerless existence. I can't do anything. All I can do is watch and accept. You're saying that I could have made a miracle happen just by believing? Yeah, you could have. Eiichi stated it clearly. He wasn't trying to blame her, he was just stating the truth. That's right. There were 6 of us, and there were 7 of them. If you'd believed along with us, we would have numbered 7 souls. The miracle could have happened. You don't make miracles happen by touching something or saying something. You make them happen by believing. Hanyuu had realized that this ending wasn't caused by fate. It was because she didn't believe. In other words, this happened because she was so weak as to accept this fate. She started crying again. You don't even know your name, but you still needed to be brave enough to fight this fear and pain. You needed to have the courage to defeat fate. If you'd believed, we'd be moving on to a bright future. If your refusal to believe in it is the sole reason we couldn't reach it, then the responsibility is yours. Jesus. Kind of harsh. It's hard to believe Rena could say something so harsh, right? Her words were piercing Hanyuu's heart. But those words were necessary for me and for her. Only faith can create a miracle. It sounds like something you might hear in a fairy tale. Not easy to put it into action. People suspect others. They don't trust others. It's easier not to have hope. So difficult to believe. That's why faith can make miracles happen. You realize that I can't even touch people? Don't you realize that I can't even speak to them? You still think I can make a miracle happen just by believing in something? Listen, you're talking to me right now. I've never talked to you before, but I always knew you were there. I was always thinking about how I could communicate with you. I always knew you were watching when we were all having fun, hanging out together. But even if I want to be involved, you guys can't see me or hear my voice. They'll think that I'm a monster or something. I don't want people to think of me as a monster. We'd never think of you that way. If you're with us, you're our friend. Yeah, we wouldn't call our friend a monster. It's your heart that determines whether you're a monster or not. Right, Shion? Indeed. I guess I'm more like a monster in that sense. You won't call me a monster even though I have horns on my head? We won't call you that just because of the way you look. They're actually cute, you know? Watch out for Rena. She might try and take you home. I realized then that I was standing with everyone, looking down at my own body. I see. I'm finally dead. I looked at my bloody body by my feet. It upset me that Takano was still enjoying the torture, but the body that remained was nothing but a shell. Are you okay, Nika-chan? Me. Don't you think it's a bit strange to ask that to a question to a dead person? Everyone smiled wryly. My first time feeling so much love in death. Everyone is already dead. That's why I feel so happy to be dead. Join them. Suddenly the world got darker and my body started to sink downward. could feel myself disappearing. I still had the sensation of my friend's hands on mine. Let's go, everyone. Yeah, let's go. You're also one of us. Come on, stop crying, and let's go. My vision had gone dark, but somehow I could still see. Rena offered her hand to Hanyuu, and Hanyuu slowly took it. Hanyuu, I don't know what sad experiences you had before we met. I'm sure my friends will accept you. Oh. Is it still going to be fun if I'm involved? Are you sure they'll accept me? Yes. So come along with us. When I touched Hanyuu's hand, it felt like everyone else laid their hands on top too. If only they had hands to do so. Let's go, Hanyuu. Let's accept this sorrow, so we can embrace joy as well. Believe in the bright future that's waiting for us. The miracle will happen. We will obtain it. Okay? Yes. Hanyuu said with a definite nod. What's outside of the well? What's outside of the well? Is it something worth fighting for? What's outside of the well? Is it something worth getting hurt for? What's outside of the well? I'm going to fight and get hurt in order to find that out. I'm sure what's waiting is a beautiful world, even if I get to the bottom of the well again. The key to the new world is my willingness to get out of here. Even if I can get out or not, I will eventually get to the new world. When They Cry, staff credits. Whew, that was fucking ride. Gosh, damn, that was great. Good, really good. I mean, I don't have much else to say in that. It's fucking good. And we're God, we started reading these so long ago now, and we're almost at the end. Kind of crazy to think about. I mean, thank you, I guess, kind of. It's not like I did really did. It's not like I played them or anything, but whew. I click these? I wonder how many of these sites are still around. Like, I actually was trying to look up to see if I could still get Higurashi Daybreak, the fighting game. And I don't think I can, one. And, like, a lot of the websites for it are just dead now, which is tragic. Okay, what do we got? Anything after credits? Emergency Manual 1. If the existence of a terminal patient L5 is confirmed, the Institute Director must resolve the situation before the L5 begins engaging in antisocial behavior. However, they must ensure that the secret remains hidden. To that end, the Director may also request assistance from the Secrecy Preservation Unit. As for the Secrecy Preservation Unit, they may request permission to fire from the Institute Director if necessary. All efforts should be made to secure the L5 subject is alive, but if that proves obstructive to maintaining secrecy, their life may be forfeit. At all times, maintaining secrecy and preventing exposure will be of the highest priority. However, preserving secrecy will take priority over preventing exposure. Emergency Manual Appendix 9 FAQ. Q. Can Emergency Manual 34 be administered if an outbreak of L5 occurs, putting matters beyond the control of the Secrecy Preservation Unit? Additionally, is the Institute Director responsible for determining what constitutes an out-of-control situation? A. Yes. Q. If an accident occurs and a hazardous material, the H170 series, is exposed to the public, can Emergency Manual 34 be administered? A. Yes. Q. If an accident has occurred and the nature of the Institute is revealed to the public, the Secrecy Preservation Unit will take steps to resolve the situation. However, if the information is spread too widely, can Emergency Manual 34 still be administered? Additionally, is the Institute Director responsible for making that decision? Yes. The decision to execute Emergency Manual 34 must be carefully deliberated over and sanctioned by an official. However, in the case of emergency, does the Institute Director have the right to make the final decision? The execution of Emergency Manual 34 must be sanctioned by an official at all times. However, the Institute Director may petition the urgency of its use to an official. Emergency Manual 34. Reproduction or removal of this document is prohibited. This manual may only be read with the appropriate permissions. Alright, well, I guess we gotta shut the stream down. We don't have permission. What are we gonna do? This manual will only apply upon approval by the highest authority. Nothing short of official authorization shall count as approval. Furthermore, those authorized to apply this manual must make their decision as soon as possible when it is required. If the situation threatens to spiral out of control, and the official accedes that this is the case, the EDA Institute must make the final decision to preserve the secret and prevent its detection by others. The following is an outline of how to execute that final resolution. Terminate all patients above L2. Destroy all evidence inside the Institute. Conceal the fact that this manual was administered. The contents of this manual must be executed of the Institute Director within 48 hours of the incident. If the Director is not available, the Chief Officer must execute it in his place. The Institute Director may demand support from the Chief Officer in executing this manual. If this manual is expected to be executed, the Chief Officer may issue the preliminary orders. The final resolution must be executed in the following steps. Disguise the incident as a natural gas disaster and quarantine the area. The quarantine unit must disguise themselves as police officers and isolate the Hinamizawa region from the outside world. The official explanation must be that there is a gas disaster within the village. The equipment for the operation will be stored at a vacant lot where Yagouchi Quarry used to be. The equipment must undergo routine maintenance. In the event of external breach or internal escape, if they do not respond to notice of the gas disaster or orders to evacuate, use of firearms is authorized. The approval to use firearms is given by the Chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit to the Chief of the Traffic Blockade Unit. Shutting down communications. The Communication Sabotage Unit must ensure that all forms of communication, including radio, have been disabled in the Hinamizawa area. They must take care not to fall under suspicion, and communications must be disrupted for a minimum amount of time. The facility belonging to the telephone company is inside of the traffic blockade, so any civilians inside may be shot and killed. The Chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit may give permission to use lethal force to the Chief of the Communications Sabotage Unit. Assembling the infected carriers. The Secrecy Preservation Unit must assemble the infected populace in the Hinamizawa Regional Disaster Center. Refer to the enclosed documents for gathering procedures. Upon assembly, the unit must count the number of the infected and confirm that everyone is present. Be sure to not allow the infected to expose the true nature of the gas disaster. Additionally, the infected must not be allowed to bring any large personal belongings with them. However, they may take their valuables, including bank books and cash. Infected who refuse to assemble may be shot, but the Chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit must carefully consider the decision to do so. Terminating the infected. Once they are assembled, the Secrecy Preservation Unit must terminate all of the infected. Before that point, care must be taken to ensure that they are not suspicious of the story of the gas disaster. Be sure that they are treated as humanely as possible. If any problems occur, the unit has approval to fire their weapons. The Chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit must also make that decision. Bodies with gunshot wounds should not be placed together with those that have been poisoned. Concealment of the Institute. The Institute Concealment Unit must collect all of the classified items, refer to the 193 items in the appendix, in the Institute in order to suppress the evidence. Refer to the appendix for more detailed instructions. The research staff at the Institute must assist with the operation. This unit must exercise extreme caution, as they will be handling a number of toxic substances. Strict quarantine must be maintained of the concealment block. The airproof door must be welded shut, and the underground area must be flooded. The entrance to the area must be welded shut and concealed completely. Furthermore, the concealment block will be completely removed within 3 years. The Institute Concealment Unit must eliminate all civilians who would try to approach the Institute. The use of firearms is not permitted except in emergencies. The Chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit may give the order to fire. Searching the village. The Secrecy Preservation Unit must search the whole village for any survivors. Any person who was not present during the assembly must be found. Any survivors found after the termination of the infected may be shot immediately. However, if the survivor is willing to surrender, do not shoot and instead take them into the custody of the Secrecy Preservation Unit. The unit must then terminate the captive using the same method as for the other infected. Post-mission transfer to General Forces. Transfer the job to the official disaster recovery team. Make sure not to arouse suspicion. Complete withdrawal. After the completion of all operations, the Secrecy Protection Unit will retreat from the Hinamizawa area. They must be careful not to be suspected by the disaster recovery team. Furthermore, the Institute will continue to secure the concealment block until the complete removal is finished. The Queen and her carriers. It is assumed that the pathogen has the same characteristics as creatures such as ants. Okay, so I was right when I called it an insect. There is a queen of the carriers of the disease, just like there is a queen ant, and this position has been passed down the line of the Furude family. This assumption is made based on the legends and ancient writings that have been passed down in the village. It is already confirmed that the carriers have a tendency to protect their queen. Additionally, the queen carrier can only survive within the boundary of the village. Probability of outbreak. As ordinary patients will become ill when they travel far away from the queen, it's assumed that the further and longer they are away from her, the higher the chance of symptoms occurring becomes. Also, mental state plays a strong factor as well, and it's estimated that those who are especially emotionally unstable or show strong yearnings for their home are more likely to exhibit symptoms. It is believed that the Takano relaxation method is the most effective means of suppressing symptoms, but if the patient still shows no improvement, only returning them to their home and the queen will be effective. Concerning terminal patients. Terminal patients, as they suffer from an extreme persecution complex, are incapable of functioning within society. Cases of arson and murder have been confirmed. They may present severe problems for their units. Records show that terminal patients appear even in Hinamizawa, and they will not recover even if relocated nearer the queen. Therefore, the decision to dispose of the problem must be made as soon as possible. It's recommended that the infected be quarantined before they start behaving irregularly. We suggest tracking down those formerly from Hinamizawa and placing them under special medical observation. The collapse of the carrier community. For the aforementioned reasons, we predict that should the queen carrier die, infected villagers will exhibit terminal symptoms on a village-wide scale. Terminal symptoms will begin showing within 24 hours at the earliest and 48 at the latest. For that reason, the final decision must be made within 48 hours. Based on the size of the village, neither ordinary officers nor the military police may be able to control the chaos they may bring. We believe the best response is to treat them as an armed anti-national uprising and immediately suppress them with the military. January 1945. To Colonel Koizumi of the Supreme Council for the Direction of War. From Hifumi Takano. June 23rd. Take a drink real quick. June 23rd, 1983. Document E420 for the 58th Defense Commissioner and TECOM 733 Commander. TECOM 733 is hereby ordered to be on standby within 24 hours, armed for urban suppression. The company commander must also thoroughly study Emergency Manual 34. Select personnel carefully with the preservation of secrecy in mind. Additionally, test the effectiveness of the vaccine with the support of the National Research Center of Infectious Diseases. Employ those with positive immunity. June 23, 1983. Document E711 for the 58th Director of the NIHS. Attention Equipment Testing Company Commander 733. The National Research Center of Infectious Diseases. Infectious Pathogen Department, Suite 13. Official seal emitted. About the Hinamizawa Syndrome. This is information regarding the Hinamizawa Syndrome. The Hinamizawa Syndrome is an infectious disease caused by a virus. There are no initial symptoms. Instead, their onset begins with the patient's emotional state, when the patient's emotional state becomes unstable or if the queen carrier dies. The main symptoms of the illness are hallucinations and emotional instability paired with an extreme persecution complex. Furthermore, patients are frequently unaware of their own mental abnormalities, making identification outside examination nearly impossible. The only way to do so is by observing symptoms indicative of terminal abnormal behavior. In many cases, patients engage in antisocial behavior, which is the largest issue created by the syndrome. This behavior is caused by hormonal factors, as this disease mainly affects the mind as opposed to the body. In the end, the patients will experience extreme irritations in their lymph nodes, and they will claw at their throats or wrists. This is the only symptom that is recognized by the patient. More important points regarding the sterilization operation. This is an advisory notice for virus control. The pathogen is an airborne infectious virus, therefore no effective preventative method exists, and an inoculation is required. After the mission is completed, all staff members must take a medical exam, and those with positive test results must come forward. Be cautious when interacting with the carriers, villagers. Even after inoculation, any contact with their bodily fluids will cause infection. Do not come in direct contact with them. If assumed infective, individuals must use the testing syringe and test themselves for the disease. If you feel an extreme irritation in your lymph nodes, it's likely you have terminal symptoms. In that case, you must get tested immediately. If test results come out positive, inject the treatment medication C120. If the irritation persists after 10 minutes, use a second injection. If there is still no change in symptoms, seek treatment at HQ. Do not use C120 if your test results are not positive. If used on a healthy body, symptoms of high fever, rashes, dilated pupils, and hallucination will be observable within 10 minutes. If this occurs, one must seek treatment at HQ. Government officials explained the entire situation in a luxurious meeting room adorned with a marble table and crystal ashtrays. The chief cabinet secretary was in a panic. He'd never heard about any of this before. Feelings of panic were only natural. One girl's death was going to drive 2,000 villagers into a frenzy. Hearing that a disease like that exists was surprising enough, but on top of that, it was secretly researched for military use, and now there was a horrific situation caused by the director of the local research institute engaging in embezzlement. Ever heard of such a dangerous disease? There's no cure for it? No. According to the National Research Center, they have recently found a method of treatment for the carriers of the disease, but they're still not capable of administering that treatment to the whole village. The entire populace is going to develop terminal symptoms within the next 24 to 48 hours. It's going to be a disaster. The danger of this Hinamizawa syndrome was explained over and over again to the chief secretary. He didn't have anything more to say, but that didn't mean he could blindly accept it either. He simply couldn't believe that the only way to resolve the situation was to kill all 2,000 infected villagers. I understand the urgency, but I can't give approval to kill an entire village. Why was this disease being studied in secret anyway? Isn't this the responsibility of those who are funding the research? Such a dangerous disease can't possibly be of any benefit to this country. It's the year 1983, for crying out loud. According to these documents, they intentionally held off on exterminating the disease so they'd have more time to study it. On top of that, this chaos was all caused by a single researcher? This is an act of terrorism. It's the fault of those old men in Tokyo. They'd better take responsibility for this. Get rid of the people who are still haunted by the ghost of the war. This is a good opportunity to rid Tokyo of its festering pus. We will discuss the issue of responsibility in due time, but we must make a prompt decision about this. A man standing by the window slowly turned around and opened his mouth. Prime Minister, please give us your decision. What happens if I don't approve this final resolution? Well, almost 100% of the population in the village will develop terminal symptoms within 36 hours. They will be overcome by persecution complexes, and they will begin behaving violently. Suicide, murder, arson, robbery, and that are some of the things we predict will happen. There will be no peace within the village. It probably won't stay within those boundaries either, but spread throughout the area. As a result, the whole world will discover this disaster. Sooner or later, they will find out about this mysterious disease. This will be a great advantage for the opposition during the next election. Tokyo will also voice their criticisms of the Prime Minister. You need their approval in order to make your political plans come to fruition. More than anything, the government might reveal that this secret research was conducted for military purposes. If this happens, this country will have a crisis of faith in their leadership. What if I approve this final resolution? Well, we will be disguising this as a natural disaster, so the opposition may still attack us for our blunder. However, they will not discover the existence of this mysterious disease. If by chance the world were to discover our military research of the disease, our nation would completely lose its initiative in the Asian region. Support from those nations is a necessity for us. If you lose their trust, the opposition will definitely come into power after the next election. Japan will be finished. According to our simulations, the balance of power will shift drastically if the second and third parties form a coalition government. The whole world will hold us responsible. The United Nations will accuse us of developing WMDs. Neighboring governments will lead smear campaigns against us, drawing a hard line of anti-Japan diplomatic policies with high approval ratings. In every way possible, the government of this country will be burned to the ground. Still, we'll lose the trust of all our allies, huh? Shit. So this isn't just the problem of the several 100,000 people who live around the Hinamizawa area, is it? But it's way too difficult to cover up 2,000 casualties. The most important thing is to prevent the public from knowing that this country was secretly researching that. I guess we'll be wiping the ass of the ghost of the war. Are you sure this operation can be performed secretly? If this mission goes public, this will become a greater scandal than the research itself. Yes, it will be kept secret. There are special units working on this case. They are trained specifically for situations like this. You have nothing to worry about. I've never heard of any mission like this, but it's basically mass murder via gas, correct? I had no idea there were units specifically trained for that. In order to know how to protect themselves from a gas attack, they must know what gas warfare is about. In order to know how to fight against an enemy using gas, they must also know how to kill with it. The equipment research unit is prepared for any kind of attack. He let out a small sigh. He couldn't see the line between ethical and unethical. Can any research be justified by the excuse of preparing against hostilities? That's also what preparation was all about. Some evils must be accepted as necessary. The EDA Institute was one such evil. So we have to make a secret decision in order to keep this research undisclosed. Proving this is going to make us guilty. Are you sure that the information will not leak from the members of this unit? That will not happen. The members were carefully selected from a group of extremely loyal men. You've never performed an operation such as this, but they are highly experienced and they will not leak any information whatsoever. They're an assassination unit, huh? Prime Minister, please give us the approval to administer Emergency Manual 34. Director General of Defense, are you sure this operation will succeed? Are you sure we can stop this from going public? No, can you keep casualties to a minimum? Yes, sir. The preliminary orders have been sent out and preparations are complete. We will execute the mission as soon as we get your approval. We can't give the approval to slaughter 2,000 innocent people. However, as Prime Minister, I have an obligation to minimize the number of casualties. Prime Minister, I understand your dilemma. Director General, please make a concerted effort to minimize the number of victims. These 2,000 people can't be treated. Please do what's best to prevent additional victims. Yes, sir! Thank you for your approval. We'll return with positive results. That's if you can call 2,000 casualties a positive result. Okuno-kun, please set up a meeting with Tokyo as soon as possible. I have to hear an explanation directly from them. Understood. By the way, did they arrest that EDA, the Institute Director? No, he committed suicide by taking poison. He was in such a rage that his research was being shut down. They felt as if his life itself was being denied. So no one will ever really know what made him commit such a horrific crime. The execution of Emergency Manual 34 is approved, June 23rd, 1983. Prime Minister... Director General of the Defense Agency... For logistical reasons, you may not bring any large items with you. You cannot carry any luggage. I repeat, you cannot carry any luggage. You may carry only valuable items such as bank books and cash. Please do not use your own vehicle to evacuate. It will cause confusion. It was the middle of the night, and yet countless villagers were out and about. Some of them were locking their doors, some of them were watering their plants, and some of them were piling up food in their dogs' dinner bowls. Small children were crying in fear. Members of the town council were yelling angrily while counting up the villagers. Reportedly, the village had been cut off from the rest of the world after volcanic gas gushed out of the mountains. The number of policemen and military units in the village, added to the strong smell of sulfur in the air, dispelled any doubts the villagers might have had. The more religious among the elderly were convinced that this was the curse of Furude-rika, who had passed away the day before. They were certain that Oyashiro-sama was enraged and that the door to hell had been opened. Soldiers wearing gas masks guided the villagers to the evacuation center. Why do you all have guns? These are to protect your homes after the evacuation. We're expecting looters. No one in Hinamizawa would do something like that. This is the first platoon. The evacuation is on schedule. Roger that. We'll send our platoon over. Excuse me, I need to bring along my grandfather's mortuary tablet. You may take that with you. Please hurry up. Make sure everyone in the village is here. Please come forward if you're unable to walk. A soldier will come and help you. Oyashiro-sama is angry because Nikachama was murdered. Oyashiro-sama, Oyashiro-sama, please forgive our sins. Remember our emergency drills. Group leaders have to contact a town council member when everyone in group is... Oh, remember our emergency drills. Group leaders have to contact a town council member when everyone in the group has shown up. My asthma is coming out of the swamp. Oyashiro-sama must be furious. There are too many of us here. We'll never make it out alive. Let me die in the village. Don't worry. The helicopters and buses are on their way to transport everyone to safety. You're all going to make it out okay. Everyone gather at the forestry service. No, not the people from District 4. You're supposed to go to the community center behind the post office. Exactly the same as in the emergency drills. Please calm down at your evacuation point. Please move as a group. Every person matters. Everyone needs to stick together. You will get home safely. The villagers couldn't see the expressions under the soldiers' gas masks. They wondered what kind of expressions they were hiding under there. The soldiers were, of course, lying to the villagers, knowing that they would never return to their homes again. One such trooper cried under his mask. One such trooper cried under his mask, but the villagers never saw his tears. Please go back. You can't take your own vehicle to evacuate. The road ahead is cut off by a gas stream and it's dangerous. Can't you smell the sulfur? Some people tried to leave in their cars so as to take large items with them. However, the quarantine unit had sealed off all roads leading outside. The gas masks of the troopers and the smell of the sulfur persuaded them to return and obey the instructions. Some of them tried to contact Okinomiya, but their phones would not connect. The lines were busy no matter how much they tried. They simply assumed that the phone lines were overwhelmed because of the disaster. Some of the villagers had access to radios. They tried to figure out what the situation was like outside, but all they could hear over the radio was loud static. It was the same with the television. They couldn't contact anyone outside of the village, so they really were totally isolated. And so they had nothing to rely on but the instructions of the police and the military. They were all like moths heading towards the light, never doubting that they would be safe there. One old war veteran listened to the noise from the radio and muttered, "This is exactly how it sounded when Americans jammed the radio away during the war." As it turned out, he was absolutely correct. However, he turned off the radio when his son urged him to evacuate. The villagers had all gathered at their evacuation points. Some of them were at the school and some were at the community center. They were to stay in the building until the evacuation vehicles arrived. The soldiers told them to stay inside so they could keep track of the number of evacuees. Please close all of the windows to prevent the gas from entering. We'll be sealing the windows to be on the safe side. Your cooperation would be appreciated. Alright, let's help them out. People started to seal up the windows and vents with the duct tape that was handed to them. They completely sealed every opening, even as they heard the disquieting conversation of the soldiers. It was long past 3 a.m., but everyone was wide awake with fear. They were having an extremely long night. Coincidentally, the end to their night had almost arrived. This is all Oyashiro-sama's curse. Rikachama, Rikachama, Oyashiro-sama, Oyashiro-sama. Oyashiro-sama demoned away those kids at the Furude Shrine in his fury. The Furude Shrine was swallowed by the world of the demons that day. The demons chewed up her guts while she was still alive. They all started saying that the gas disaster was caused by the curse of Oyashiro-sama, and Rika's death and the mysterious disappearance of her friends and the two detectives were also a result of the curse. People started talking about being demoned away. They had no idea that Keiichi and his friends' short battle sealed their fate for that night. The more religious villagers had become convinced that the children and the detectives went missing because they volunteered to become a sacrifice to calm Oyashiro-sama's anger after Rika's death. They didn't know the truth. They couldn't know. Not one realized that Keiichi and his friends' efforts had all been in vain. Indeed, in Hinamizawa, everything that happens is the will of Oyashiro-sama. But why did it have to be that way? Before the series of mysterious deaths occurred, no one really used the term the curse of Oyashiro-sama that frequently. In other words, who set them up? People in this village were set up to believe that the curse of Oyashiro-sama happens every year. They really are just too superstitious. Major, we finished gathering the villagers together. The last family member finally reached the assembly point. We got everyone. Good. This is finally it. The curse of Oyashiro-sama will become a reality tonight. For enacting Watanagashi and Fururerika, Oyashiro-sama is punishing this village. The curses of the last 5 years are culminating in the biggest curse of them all. This is not just a mysterious chain of murders. This is divine punishment from an enraged god. Let's begin. This the company commander. The men are requesting 1 minute of silence. Could you let them have that, Major? Do as you like. God, that's really fucked. I actually need a minute for that one. That's like really fucked, you know? I appreciate that line because, you know, it's like the guys doing this are not all, and the one before about the guy crying under his mask is like, hey, they're not all, you know, like comically evil cartoon villains like Takano's kind of being. Do as you like. Takano gave him a disparaging laugh. The company commander crossed his heart and began to speak. Dear Heavenly Father, please guide these innocent people. Your sacrifice will save the lives of many others to come. Please forgive us for committing this sin. Please forgive us for being here today. The company commander isn't Christian. In fact, he doesn't follow any religion. However, he prayed because he felt the need to ask someone for forgiveness. He wasn't even sure if he was saying it correctly, but he still prayed to God. He asked forgiveness for committing his sin and continued to pray. Takano was speaking in a soft voice. She was talking to herself. For ye know not what hour your Lord doth come, but know this, for if the goodman of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. One man heard her murmurs. That's from the Gospel of Matthew. Is it? My grandfather always said that to me. He was telling me to work hard every day because you'll never know when you will be rewarded. Is this a reward for you? Yes, although you might never understand it. Excuse my rudeness, but I believe that a sense of God is a merciful thing. I think what you're saying is inappropriate for a time like this. He was trying to tell her that using that verse of the Bible was inappropriate for the occasion. However, Takano simply laughed as though she had heard something very funny. I'm sorry, but you have no right to judge. Tonight is the night where I become a god. The moment of silence is ended, and with the end of the silence, execute the operation now. The order was given in as hollow and reluctant a manner as an order can possibly be. People were packed into the classroom. They were afraid. The trooper closed the door of the classroom. The people inside had no idea why they were doing that. However, they didn't suspect anything at all. An old man walked up to the door to open it, because with it closed it was too hot inside the room, but he collapsed all of a sudden. His wife tried to walk over to help him up, but she also collapsed all of a sudden. Then, other people also started collapsing inside of the room. It really was a very odd sight. What would make for a good example? It would be pretty amusing if they were dominoes. However, the human beings. People sitting by the window watched this strange event happen before their eyes. They opened their eyes wider to try and understand what was going on. The door creaked open slightly and someone on the other side threw 3 spray canisters into the room. More people started to collapse, even those at the window. This wasn't something that was happening only in one room. It was happening in all the other rooms too. It was happening in all the evacuation centers. People's dreams, their hopes, and their futures were taken away so quickly and easily. There was a commotion in the reception room by the principal's office. Someone had figured out what was going on, broke the seal off the window, and escaped outside. Other people tried to remove the seal on their windows too, but they collapsed in a matter of seconds. Someone escaped from the reception room. 4 people are loose. You have permission to fire. Shoot, shoot, shoot! The soldiers shot the people who tried to escape in the back. The sound of the gunshots echoed in the silence. It was a noise filled with cruelty. They hopelessly fell down to the ground. Their deaths were so pitiful compared to the silent deaths of those before them. The residential police officer was one of the escapees. He tried to shoot back at them with his own gun. His shots could be heard throughout the building. The soldiers ducked into the shadows upon hearing the noise. The officer seized his chance and ran toward the gate, but that was just a waste of time. Not as only is the range of the automatic weapons they were using longer than the length of the schoolyard, but as trained professionals, it would be nothing for them to shoot him from that distance. The villagers had no choice. Either they'd die from the gas without realizing what was happening, or they'd find out about the mission and be killed. What happened? Did they fight back? Respond! We've shot all the fugitives. One of the residential policemen shot back. Collect the bodies. Do not put them with other corpses. Soldiers walked over to the 4 fallen bodies. They needed to make sure that they were all dead, not just injured. This is the 1st platoon. Forestry Service building has been sterilized. 4 escaped. We took them down. This is the 2nd platoon. Sterilization complete. No one escaped. There's a 3rd platoon. More than 10 escaped. We're conducting a sweep. It will be over soon. This is the 4th platoon. Sterilization complete. No one escaped. This is the 3rd platoon. We've taken out all 13 fugitives. Sterilization is now complete. Roger. Start counting the bodies. Make sure the total matches the original number taken earlier tonight. Takano was laughing to herself inside of the van. She didn't physically see all those people dying silently, but she saw it anyway. She saw countless people dying without even noticing it. She saw it all in her mind. Takano waved her arms in the air. No one was watching her, but no one understood what she was doing, even if they were. She was waving her baton. Takano was pretending that she was the conductor of this silent funeral march. Major, the sterilization is complete. We are going to reconnect the phone lines. Sure, go ahead. This is the Institute Concealment Unit. We've removed all the classified items and welded the entrance shut. We're currently flooding the underground facility. This is the Traffic Blockade Unit. Everything is proceeding as scheduled. This is the Communication Sabotage Unit. We reconnected the phone lines. Telephone facility is back to normal. Takano was paying no attention to those reports. She continued to sing the melody of an orchestra. One operator spoke to her. You seem to be in a good mood. Yes, it feels so good. I bet you can't hear it. It's hymn that glorifies God. A hymn? Takano laughed loudly, spreading her arms wide. That's right, the hymn. A new god has descended to this village. There was no god in Hinamizawa. Oyashiro-sama was just a name. This was an old backwater village with no real god, but I brought a god to this place. Do you understand what that means? I bet you don't. How many gods in this world have the power to curse people? How many of them can challenge people? None of them. But I did it. Takano laughed as if she was the only one who could comprehend what she was saying. None of the operators inside the car could comprehend her laughter. Takano was satisfied to know that. But God is not a god without a curse. Gods are feared because of their curses, and they're worshipped because they're feared. That's the truth about gods. If faith alone is what creates a god, then there's no need for curses. But the ancient gods all cursed humans. Then what is a god's curse? It's the proof that a god is real. Gods aren't gods if they don't curse people. I found evidence of the existence of God in this poor village. I thought this was a message from heaven. Hinamizawa was without a god for 100 years, until the end of the damn conflict. I believe it's been my mission to restore the god's existence in this village. Heaven supported me and granted me power. I have raised the bud of a curse plant with the fate seeds of coincidence granted to me by heaven. And now this budding curse bears fruit and hangs ripe. Do you understand? Tonight is the night of the harvest. This is the final curse of Oyashiro-sama. And from this day forth, Oyashiro-sama will be a real god. You may not see it now, but someday you will understand. You'll see how grand this plan I accomplished was, how long it will be told in history, and how great I will become. God's curse. I make that curse happen. I am the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Worship me and be fearful. I'm creating not only death, I'm writing history. History will speak of this curse and remember my existence forever. I'm the curse itself. I've transcended this flesh. My legend will endure forever beyond my mortal life. My existence is eternal now. Curse yourselves and curse your powerlessness. Realize how great I am. I am Oyashiro-sama. I am a god. I'm a god now. My flesh may die eventually, but I'll remain in this world forever. Fucking finally! I think it went on for another hour after the credits ended. Or is it still going? You received a new tip. This fragment ends. Alright, well, we gotta read the fucking tip. The scenario jump has been... The tip's reading room. The staff room has been unlocked. Okay, well. Few tips. This fragment's end. I guess Rika finally managed to assemble all the pieces to her puzzle. We don't know yet if her memories will pass on to her next life. Rika always loses the memory of her death. I don't know if she can retain the memories of what she's discovered. What did you think? Did you have fun? Once you find out the answers, collecting them isn't so fun anymore. You don't agree? I see. You still might find something different by examining some old fragments. After all, the time we have here is endless. You have to find something to play with, because there's nothing to do here. For me, playing with these fragments stops being fun when I find out what's inside. But if you can tell me how to have fun with them, even so, that makes you pretty smart. What? You want to know what I play with? I don't play. I'm just killing time. I like to imagine what Rika could have done in order to achieve the future she hopes for. I like to imagine a world that would have been happy for all of them. You found out how those worlds are set up by looking at the previous ones, right? I like to analyze what would need to change in order for Rika to win against Nakano. You want to see what's on my mind? Too bad. I'm not showing that to you. In that world, Rika and her friends survived their struggle and broke through the fate of June 1983. It's just my imagination. It's not for me to share with you. I'm sure the world that Rika is about to create is better than anything in my imagination. Even if she's stuck on June 19th in 1983. I'm sure this now-ended world will remain one of Rika's brightest fragments either way, no matter how much she struggles. If she actually overcomes her fate, it will be the most brilliant fragment of her story. I'm sure the life Rika lives makes for a better story than my boring imagination. You want to know what happened to Rika? She made a decision to redo her life once again with Hanyuu. She's trying to live her life with all her might. That's what she learned from this world. Her next life has already begun. I do wonder what that life is like. I'm going there now to check. You want to come with me? Are we going to get to see? So soon? No, of course not. Such a tease. Well, I guess that was chapter... According to my recording, that was 3 hours and 30 minutes, that chapter, altogether. Wait, what? So yeah, I think that was what chapter. I'm curious though. Was that? Oh right, right. This is how they do it with the days, which kind of weird, honestly, because we did not play through a month. I don't think. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I guess by day they mean scenes. Anyway, that was the end of Minagoroshi.